Welcome to La Seu de Gel in the Spanish Pyrenees for round 3 of the 2021 ICF Canoe Slalom World Cup. We're just a month on from the conclusion of the Tokyo Olympic Games, and the second part of the season starts here with over 170 athletes and 30+ nations competing, including many of the medalists from the Tokyo Games here on the waters of the River Segre. This iconic venue, built for the 1992 Olympic Games, celebrates 30 years since its first competition. And we're eagerly anticipating the start of competition. Today, it is semi-finals day. We'll have the women's kayak and the men's kayak in action here on a beautiful September morning. The air temperature perfect, no wind at all. And this stage is set for some exciting racing here in the foothills of the Pyrenees. So over the course of the weekend, not only have we got the kayaks racing, but tomorrow we have the canoe competition and of course the extreme slalom competition, which will be new for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. So we have a new course set. We had a different course for the heats, and now new gate sequence set by our course designers. 25 gates, 6 red and white upstream gates, the rest green and white downstream gates. And our course designers, Jérôme Blanchet from France and Irati Goicoechea of Spain, have set the test for these athletes. So if you're new to the sport of canoe slalom, then the rules are quite simple. Fast and clean is the name of the game, as fast as you can down the course, negotiating the numbered gates in number order. And in the kayak category, the athletes sitting in the boat with a double-bladed paddle. And you must negotiate each gate cleanly. And that means basically a whole head and part of the boat must go through the gate in the correct direction. Otherwise, you pick up a 2-second penalty for touching a gate and a 50-second penalty for missing a gate. So the athletes racing in reverse order of the heats. They took place yesterday, and already the competition, well, we had 46 starters in this women's kayak competition. We're into the top 30 from the heats in this semi-final. They race in reverse order of that heats performance. And in this semi-final, only the top 10 will progress through to the final. So some big names here, including Jessica Fox of Australia, who, well, she won gold in the women's canoe event. That will be taking place tomorrow. She took bronze in the women's kayak event in Tokyo. And certainly very successful competition at the Games. So the semi-finals will be getting underway very shortly indeed. And it's a busy weekend for canoe sport as well. Fresh from the Paralympic Games, the para-canoe events concluded this morning in Tokyo. Not such good conditions there, though, as they are here. And I'm pleased to welcome to the commentary box, myself, Andy Maddock, will guide you through these semi-finals, and I'm really pleased to welcome Liam Jagu of the Irish team, fresh from being in the Tokyo Olympic Games, to the commentary box, who will give us some great insight, I hope, through the course of these semi-finals. Welcome, Liam.
I'm looking forward to seeing the semi-final. Very original course for Seu, I must say. So it's promising to be interesting all the way down.
You say it's interesting you say that, because I would agree. Our course designers, we've got new course designers, Jérôme Blanchet and Irati Goicoechea, and you're right, they have not gone for the standard moves, and it should be quite interesting.
Yeah, it's always difficult to find in Seu to set a course design that we've never done, and I can honestly say some of the moves here I haven't done. So and I've been here a lot. So no, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to racing on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to watching the women take it on today.
Well, great stuff. We are underway with racing now. So it is the 30 top competitors from yesterday's heats racing in this semi-final in reverse order, and leading the way it is Antonia Oschmautz of Austria.
Pretty smooth through the top. I think she got that 5 to 6 move pretty well, and followed up with a nice punt in the up left. So it looks to be going pretty well for Antonia. I think today a clean run is going to be very valuable, as always, but today even more.
Yes, and I would suspect a pretty quick course. I suspect for the women's kayaks, I would be anticipating around about, well, under 95 seconds. Any thoughts on that?
I'm not sure. I always find it difficult to say before the run, but I don't know if it'll be that quick. It seems to be very tricky. There's a lot of turning around. Could be a little bit longer, I think.
Well, we'll find out over the course of this morning's semi-finals. Of course, in the finals, the athletes race on the same course, so there might be a little bit of learning as we go into those finals. They get underway at 12 o'clock Central European time. But let's focus on the racing, and it's a good run coming together. But just as I say that, unfortunately, a flyby on the downstream gate 23, and I think a 50-second penalty, yes, has appeared. And for Antonia Oschmautz of Austria, a smooth, clean run spoiled at the bottom of the course.
Yeah, such a shame. She was on a good run, but that last move is really cruel. It's very difficult. The drop move is quite inconsistent, and she just got caught out there and went right of the gate, unfortunately.
So our next competitor, well, here's a name who looked like she was really struggling in the heat. So let's hope she'll show us something special now. It's the world champion of 2019, Eva Tersel. And of course, she won that world title on this course.
Yeah, you could say she's an expert on SEO. The Slovenians always do really well here. Eva obviously is a world champion here, so I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do.
She had a disappointing campaign in Tokyo, and finishing 24th there, a big surprise, but hopefully that hasn't knocked her confidence as she comes in towards the second part of this season and going to defend her title in Bratislava in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, she's off to a decent start. She picked up a touch, but I think Eva's definitely one of those paddlers that can absorb a touch, so I'm sure she's not too flustered about it.
She's certainly looking very smooth now. She comes down the middle section into this, well, upstream gate. I think we've all done this gate, the upstream gate 14, but it's normally a lot higher up in the eddy. Yeah,
it's in a very physically demanding spot. The water really wants to push you up the eddy, and you have to fight to go to the river left and get that down left on the left.
Well, it's interesting. Eva is she's certainly showing her authority on the course here. Now, this is the critical section. This is what caught out Antonia Oschmautz of Austria. No problems there for Eva Tersel of Slovenia, the world champion on course.
Interesting, she didn't decide to jump into the eddy on the right. She decided to just let her boat fall down and get caught by the eddy line, which worked really well for her.
And stops the clock, 100.04. It is a, well, it's a solid first run. There's clearly a little bit of time in there. It does have that 2-second penalty picked up on the upstream gate 7.
Yeah, I'd say we've got a good benchmark for the rest of the semi-final now with Eva's run. I'd say it'll be faster than that, but still a decent run.
Well, next to start for New Zealand, it is Hannah Thomas. So she was 57th in the World Championships here in 2019. Obviously, with the pandemic, we've not really seen much activity on the international stage, particularly for those in far-flung countries such as Australia and New Zealand.
It picked up a touch on gate 6. It's such a difficult move there. Really hard to know what the water's going to do with your boat. But I think she managed it well. Unfortunately, she picked up a touch. But it seems to be going all right for Hannah.
So just 2.5 seconds down on race leader Eva Tersel of Slovenia. Remember, it's 30 paddlers racing in this semi-final for just 10 places in the final. So it is all about leaving nothing on the river, really, if you want to go for that place in the final.
Nice into gate 14. She has to fight to get all the way back up.
She's looking
tricky offset.
Looking super smooth. Hannah Thomas used to be part of the British talent development team. Then she emigrated to New Zealand and now represents New Zealand. But certainly cutting the lines, keeping it running. That's so critical. What's the key characteristic? You've paddled on here a lot, Liam. What do you see as the key characteristic to paddling quick on this course?
I'm still trying to figure it out myself. Sail is very tricky. The eddies are really shallow, so you can't really fire into deep into those upstreams. You have to be close to the poles all the time and short, powerful strokes. It's definitely a tricky course, but was she given a 50?
So I think she was given a 50 on the downstream gate 23. She certainly got pushed hard into the pole, but it was problems at the bottom of the course for Hannah Thomas of New Zealand. So still, Eva Tersel of Slovenia, our new leader. As next on course, Noemi Fox of Australia, the younger sister of Jessica Fox, and well, always must be a little bit difficult being in the shadow of such a successful athlete and her older sister.
Yeah, difficult or inspiring, I don't know. I think Jess is definitely the best, but let's focus on Noemi here. She's put down a decent start to her run there. Nice into 5.6. I think that's definitely the first really difficult move, and I think the athletes, once they get through that, they'll feel much better, much more confident.
Well, it's a good top section, 2.2 up on Tersel of Slovenia. So Noemi Fox has found the rhythm, of course, keeping it clean as well. Now, under the middle drop here. Now, you've got to get in tight into the upstream 14, but also not be taken up too high in the eddy on the run into 15 and 16. So nicely done from Fox.
Yeah, she's putting together a really good run. Really smooth, nice and clean.
Yeah, it's so critical as well. You were talking about the upstreams, Liam, and it's so critical to make sure you hold the inside pole, the pole nearest the middle of the river, isn't it? Because it's a narrow course, and just when you think you've really delivered a gate, if you've gone in too deep, your tail gets caught on a wall.
Yeah, that's really a Sao classic. You feel like you're about to nail the upstream, and your tail hits the wall, and you lose all the speed on the boat. So you really have to squeeze in and stay close to that inside pole.
Well, it's a bit of a plan B on the drop, 22-23, but it's kept it clean, it's kept it smooth, and it's into the race lead, 97.63. Noemi Fox of Australia. Well, she looks pretty pleased with that. Yeah, she should be.
That's a great run. That'll definitely be in contention for a final this afternoon. Put my neck out there.
Well, there is an asterisk showing on Noemi Fox, so just provisional results for now, but it's a clean run. 97.63, the new benchmark. As Fiona Penny of Great Britain now sets off on her run and her quest for a place in the final. Two-time Olympian, two-time World Championship silver medalist. So no shortage of experience. I think her first World Championship medal was back in 2006.
Wow. 2006?
I think so, in Prague, the 2006 World Championship in Prague, and I think she won one in 2014. Yeah. In the United States.
I remember 2014 was a great run between her and Jess. It was a very nice race to watch.
So, well, Fiona has found more time on Noemi Fox of Australia on the top section. 1.12 up, our virtual race leader, but it is all about delivery, and I think the toughest part of the course seems to be that bottom section.
Yeah, she was really smooth through the top section, picking up a touch there, but again, Fiona is one of those paddlers that can absorb a touch. And I think today, with the difficulty of the course, a touch is not going to be a direct elimination. Let's see what she can do.
So there is a bit of a review on the upstream gate 12 going on at the moment. But at the moment, Fiona Penny, now that you can see that touch has impacted her, and she's now trailing Noemi Fox of Australia as she comes down over Niagara, as it was christened in the Barcelona Olympic Games in 1992. And another touch, and she's low into the upstream, the last of the upstream gates.
It's such a tough move. Your arms are burning, you've got no more oxygen, and you just have to drop into that eddy. It's really cruel.
So a good start for Fiona Penny, but not managing to follow it all the way through the run, stopping the clock, 104.47. That includes 4 seconds of penalties, and currently in third place. So it's interesting, Liam, I was noticing finally the finish line, the actual beam is much higher up than it has been. I always feel here it's quite painful to watch the long sprint, and that's gone. Yeah,
there were a few courses that were holding on to their long sprints, but that have changed now. I think in Prague, and most of the time the sprint has been shortened as well. I think it's a good thing. Maybe it's just me, but yeah. I don't know, sometimes it's nice to have a nice long sprint that adds to the suspense, but I think the courses are long enough these days. So.
Well, next on course for the Czech Republic, it is Lucy Nesnitilova. Now coming down through gate 9, and she's in touch on the early split on the top section. She's kept it clean. So, Liam, you're based in Pau, just over the Pyrenees, so it's not that far away. How often do you get over here to train on La Seu?
I was here all the time in 2019 to prepare for World Championships. So after World Championships in 2019, I kind of stopped coming over here. But I'm here quite often. It's only a 4-hour drive, and I have great friends over here, so I always enjoy coming over to Seu to train. Bit of difference to Pau as well is always good.
And of course, we'll be in Pau next week for the World Cup final, so double points up for grabs in that competition. And of course, you won that race last year in Pau, the World Cup race. So how important is it to you, that kind of home race?
Yeah, winning last year was a great memory. It's going to be a completely different race this year. So I'm just excited to race on the course I know the best in the world, and have some fun. Hopefully get some good points for the World Cup overall.
So stopping the clock, unfortunately a 50-second penalty picked up for Lucy Nesnitilova of the Czech Republic, and currently only into 6th place. So still, Noemi Fox of Australia, our early leader, ahead of Ava Tersel of Slovenia and Fiona Penny. As we now watch the United States of America, it is Avi Liebfarth, fresh from her debut at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. Still a junior, of course.
Still a junior, yeah. She's probably... Sorry.
I was just going to say, and she won the Junior World Championships this season.
Yeah, probably the most unconventional paddler you'll see on the circuit. She certainly doesn't pay for fuel. So much energy. She's such a dynamic paddler. Very interesting to see, and she's always very fast.
You can see there a very different style, but it seems to work for her. She was 12th in Tokyo, and she's up on race leader Noemi Fox of Australia. But we know already it's not about, well, I think I've said it quite a lot of times before, you can you can't win the race at the top, but you can lose the race at the top.
For sure. I think Seu really suits Avi's style. She's very like short strokes, very dynamic. So I think I'm not surprised she's doing very well here. Oh, lovely upstream there.
And
nice
gets,
and tight,
gets the exit on without catching the back of the boat on the rocks, and she's rewarded there. So she's nearly a second up on race leader Fox of Australia as she comes towards the drop. But this is the critical section now. So important to get the line, spot the line through 23 and get in tight into the upstream 24.
Very nice run there by Avi. I'd say she'd be pretty happy with that.
So sprinting to the finish, this is surely going to take the race lead. And it does by quite a margin. So she finds further time at the bottom of the course, 95.95. Avi Liebfarth of the United States takes the race lead.
Excellent. I think she did great at Worlds in 2019 as well. So definitely a course that suits her style.
So the first of our French paddlers now on course, Romane Prigent. Now the top part of the course is it's one of those things you just assume people know the top. There's only so many combinations you can put on the top section.
Yeah, for sure. But still, it's always tricky. You never know what the water's going to be doing in those left to rights, right to lefts. So it's always quite tricky. Romane putting down a decent top here. She had to spin in gate 6, but I think she got away with it. Romane's progression since 2020 has been really impressive. She medaled twice in the World Cups in 2020. And I really enjoy watching her. She's got a great style of paddling. First year on senior team as well, I believe.
And whereabouts is she based?
Romane is from Pau, and I think, she lives in Paris now. She's training in Paris, but she's originally from Pau.
So of course, a Paris connection being the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, and the course is already completed. So an opportunity for the French team to really make that their home ahead of those games in 3 years' time.
Yeah, just Romane got caught up a little bit there, but I think she'll still be in contention for the win.
Well, she certainly was up on race leader Avi Liebfarth of the United States. It might have slipped away, and it may be a little bit more slipping away there, but it's still a solid run from Romain Prigent of France as she comes to stop the clock. It's going to be close to second place. It is into second place by 0.01 of a second.
Seems to be review on gate 22, though.
So we'll just have to wait and see. So it is Avi Liebfarth of the United States leading. Romain Prigent of France ahead of Noemi Fox of Australia. But still, we have in the region of, 22 paddlers to go. And here is one of 4 world champions on this start line. It is, of course, Karina Kühnle of Austria.
Yeah, double world champion, I think, 2010 and 2011 back-to-back. Not many people have done that, so...
That's right. She's a European champion. She's been to the Games. I think her personal best at the Games was 5th. So a very, very strong competitor. And, well, uncharacteristic that she had to qualify through on the second run in the heats.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Yeah, those second runs in heats are never easy. So I suppose it's a bit reassuring when you see some of the best doing it. Having to go through it.
World Cup campaign hasn't really got started this year. She's had a 26th and a 20th in the first 2 World Cups of the season. That was Prague and Markkleeberg. So I'm sure she'll be hoping for greater things as she comes in towards the World Championships. Yeah,
she's European champion this year, but just struggled to get going in the World Cups, like you said. But yeah, if you're a world champion and a European champion at the end of the year, it doesn't really matter, I guess.
Well, exactly, and I know the big thing was going to the Olympic Games, and unfortunately for Karina, she missed out on that. Only 1 spot per nation, and unfortunately finishing outside of that top spot. But Karina Kühnle is looking competitive here. It's going to be just outside the race lead time, but surely it is a good time. Into 4th place, 98.90.
Picked up a touch on the last gate, I think. Oh, yeah, she touched the last gate.
Well, look at that, 94.90 the time. So we said under 95 seconds, and we're starting to see that pace. And, well, it may even go down to closer to 90 seconds as we look at the Olympic champion from Rio 2016. A bronze medalist in London 2012 and recently in Tokyo 2020, and local favourite. Surely, Mayelen Chirot of Spain on course, and I would be expecting some big things in a fast time here.
Yeah, 3 Olympic Games, 3 medals. Yeah, she definitely qualifies as a legend in the sport. So excited to see what she does here.
Early penalty on the downstream gate 5. So that's no drama because we can expect a strong pace from Mayelen, but certainly can't afford to add any more to that penalty tally.
There's a lot of touches being picked up on those 2 gates, 5 and 6. It's so hard to control the bow of the boat in the sticky fingers move, but seems to be putting an okay run here down.
Yeah, so she was 2 seconds down on the split, but that was more reflective of that penalty on the downstream gate 5, cutting the lines through the 15-16 sequence. Nicely in and out of 17. So still, she's down on race leader, Liebfarth of the United States of America. So she's going to need to work her magic on the bottom section of the course. Surely this is where the experience counts on a move like this. She should have done this hundreds of times in training, but it's plan B. It's a good plan B, though. She's tight into the upstream 24, but it looks like she might have taken a penalty.
Looks like it won't be. Shame about that touch.
So Mayelen Chirot, the local favourite for Spain, goes only into 5th place, and that could be the first shock in this women's kayak semi-final. Remember, only 10 places up for grabs in the final, and the Olympic champion of Rio 2016, 3-time Olympic medalist, is looking under threat. Well, from one Olympian to another, Martina Wegman of the Netherlands now on course. Martina finished 7th in the Rio Olympic Games, so no, sorry, did I say Rio? I meant Tokyo Olympic Games. And so no stranger to a final, and certainly has the pace.
Oh, for sure. Martina's a very fast paddler on her day. She put down a decent top there, clean through that 5 to 6 move.
It's really interesting to contrast her styles to, say, our race leader, Avi Liebfarth of the United States, because Martina just always looks so composed, so relaxed, but she's deadly fast. She's really good at placing the strokes.
Yeah, I think Martina's always very relaxed in her paddling and in her approach to racing. And definitely, I mean, the styles are... Well, that's what's great about slalom, is you could have two completely different styles, and both are still going to be fast.
I was thinking your category, the men's canoe category, you always had, when you had that big battle between Michael Martican of Slovakia and Tony Estanguet of France, and again, very contrasting styles.
Yeah, two very different physiques and styles on the water, for sure. That's what's cool about slalom, is there isn't one body type that works for everyone. You can make anything work.
So Martina Wegman now, she's lost time, 5.3 seconds down now. So she is clean, but...
nice save on the bottom move.
But the time is ticking away here. So Liebfarth leads ahead of Prigent and Fox at the moment. And Martina Wegman stops the clock, 101.56, and goes into 7th place for the Netherlands. So 11 down, 19 athletes still to go, and they're the fastest 19 from the heats yesterday. Here live in La Seu d'Urgell in Spain. Myself, Andy Maddock, and alongside me, Liam Gigoux of the Irish team. Bit of a day off. How do you manage a day off ahead of an important competition tomorrow when you're racing semi-finals and hopefully finals?
It's quite new to me. C1 used to be on Fridays, on Saturdays, so it's the first year we do it this way. So I don't know. I guess I just relax, watch the racing on the Saturday, and yeah. Maybe I'm not an expert at it yet.
Well, you've got the best seat in the house here. Thank you for joining me, and it's great. So on course at the moment, Karolina Galushkova of the Czech Republic, and well, in touch. 1.78 down on race leader Liebfarth of the United States, and super tight into that upstream gate 12.
Surprised there's not more punting being done that up left. Punting meaning pushing off the wall with your blade to go faster. It's quite close to the wall, and we haven't seen too many of the women do it yet.
It's interesting because you're right. Punting is quite common here because of the narrow nature and the proximity to the wall, but it doesn't always help you right at the end of the exit, does it? If you run out of stroke just as the tail of your boat touches the wall,
yeah,
it can make it difficult. Well, a little bit sticky through that middle section for Galushkova of the Czech Republic. 4.7 down on Liebfarth of the United States of America, but the job here is about getting into the final, and then that single run final starting 12 o'clock Central European time. You can follow that on Planet Canoe, but for now we're determining who is going to qualify through, and Karolina Galushkova goes into 8th place for the Czech Republic, and I think that may not be enough today to make it through to a place in this World Cup final here in La Seu.
Only 4 clean runs since the beginning of the semi-final, so it gives you a bit of an idea of how tricky the course design is. So yeah, difficult.
So on course now, Sona Stanovska of Slovakia, and yeah, a European Championship silver medalist in 2021 at the under-23 European Championships just a few weeks ago, actually. She's a former junior World Championship silver medalist as well. So emerging through the ranks. And when you come from a country like Slovakia, then you know you're probably in the right school to learn your trade.
Definitely, you've got everything you need in Slovakia to perform great canoe slalom courses and coaching and that canoe slalom history, I suppose. All the greats are from there.
So she has picked up a 2-second penalty on the downstream gate 3 and now on the upstream gate 12. So Stanovska of Slovakia really can't afford any more errors as she comes down. A great aerial shot from the drone here as she comes into the upstream gate 17. And the perfect conditions here. There's absolutely not a puff of wind.
Yeah, a beautiful day here in Seu. Blue skies, no wind. Perfect for slalom.
So coming down towards the drop now. Over the drop, so important to set up, spot the line, and she makes that look really easy, but almost too tight into the upstream and takes a touch.
Yeah, you really need to keep that edge flat coming into that upstream, or else you clip it with the bow and coming in. So shame she'd nailed the move before, but...
So it's the penalties that cost her dearly there. Sona Stanovska of Slovakia finishes in 9th place. So Avi Liebfarth leading the way for the United States of America, 95.95, the lead time ahead of Romain Prigent of France and Noémie Fox of Australia.
Next up, Anna Faber from Germany. Anna's racing her selection for World Championships here. So I believe the best 2 of the Germans go to the World Championships in Bratislava in September. So adds a bit of pressure for the Germans here.
And of course the German Ricarda Funk, who was the Olympic champion so stunningly in Tokyo, is taking a bit of a rest, I suspect, ahead of those World Championships.
Yeah, Anna's putting down a really nice top here. I think she's going to be a little bit in front of the split, or not. They're very close.
Well, she's certainly looking very composed now as she comes down the middle section. Into the upstream just above the drop. And yeah, a little bit too tight. Kept it clean though, but there will be some time lost on the clock there. Through 14. So important there to keep the boat flat, isn't it? If you stick the tail down in any way, it really forces you back up the eddy.
Yeah, putting pressure on the front of the boat, and that last stroke, timing that last stroke really perfectly, and putting in as late as possible so that you're flying above the stopper.
So Anna has picked up a 2-second penalty on the downstream gate 13. Otherwise, clear so far. She comes over the drop through that gate 22.
Nicely done as well.
And yeah, nice flat boat, as you were saying there, Liam. And Anna Faber of Germany now coming towards the finish line. It's going to be 100.19 total. That includes 2-second penalty. And in terms of ranking, that puts her into 7th place.
She'd be disappointed with that. She definitely has the pace to make it into the finals, but be interesting to see where that puts her in German selections.
Well, next to start, another world champion, Jana Dukatova, world champion from 2006 in Prague in the Czech Republic. And, well, she's kind of competed at the highest level, performed at the highest level for such a long time and still going.
Yeah, one of those athletes you feel like they've been on top for years and years. I don't remember paddling without Jana Dukatova being in the finals of World Cups or World Championships. So,
again, an athlete who's deceptively fast. Her stroke is, well, it looks very leisurely, but she's clearly great at stroke placement, really feeling the water and delivering power just when it's needed.
Yeah, very smooth paddler. I think she's got a pretty long paddle as well, which makes her rep a little bit less, and she has longer strokes. But yeah, silky smooth all the time. Oh, nicely done.
Nicely done on the upstream gate 14. She was a little bit down on the early split, but some of that was reference to the touch on the downstream gate 5, and a little bit indecisive there as she went into 17 and took a penalty.
I think she was in between two mindsets. She didn't know if she wanted to punt or not, and you don't want to be doing that in Seo, and picked up a touch for it.
Yeah, just a little bit lost the run of the boat there through the downstream gate 20. Jana Dukatova of Slovakia now pushing back through 23.
You can see a lot of the athletes are struggling to keep that pace towards the end, just above the drop, struggling to keep the speed on the boat. Definitely seems to be quite a physical course. So
Jana Dukatova is into 10th place. She was 4th in the Rio Olympic Games, but it doesn't look like we're going to see Jana Dukatova, the 2006 world champion, in this afternoon's final. But it is looking more and more likely that we will be seeing Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America, our current race leader, in that final. And of course, she's still only a junior. As we look at Elena Appel, who's had a great season for Germany. She took a bronze medal at the Markkleeberg World Cup. And, well, this is her opportunity to keep that World Cup series going. A series of 4 races this year. First 2 have happened. Prague in Czech Republic, Markkleeberg in Germany. Then we're here in Seo in Spain. Next week we'll be in Pau in France, just over the Pyrenees. But next week, of course, it's double points. And, well, Elena Appel, a good top section. She's in touch with our race leader.
Interesting to see all the athletes that have opted for the punt option in the upper left have got stuck on the inside pole, so I guess the punt option isn't on.
It'll be interesting. We've still got the men's kayak semi-finals, which will follow immediately these women's kayak semi-finals, and I'm sure the men's kayak will be watching this with eagerness, particularly on some of the upstreams, for exactly that information.
Yeah.
So we're over the halfway point of this women's kayak semi-final now. 16 boats have come down the course, 14 still to go, so it won't be long before we are able to start confirming who will be through into that women's kayak final here at the ICF Canoe Slalom World Cup. Race number 3 of the 2021 season.
The judges will have some tricky work to do on that gate. What gate is it in the drop? Down right.
23.
23, yeah. Making sure the boats are in the gate. It's always a hard one to judge. Really depends on the judge sometimes.
So, well, it's a solid run for Elena Appel into 5th place for Germany. So have to see whether that stands the test of time as we watch another of those emerging young athletes. For Poland, it is Klaudia Swolinska. So she was 5th at the Tokyo Olympic Games, her first games. But also, she was the under-23 European champion in 2021, just a few weeks ago.
World Cup winner as well in Prague.
Of course,
yeah.
She was, yes. Yeah, she won the Prague World Cup, then she followed up in Markkleeberg with a disappointing result, 19th.
19th, yeah.
But no, that's a good point. And a really kind of emerging name to watch. She's got an advantage on the top section, 0.68 up on our race leader. Can she hold that now through the rest of the run?
Very fast through those offsets around the bend.
So she was obviously making her debut Olympics in Tokyo. So were you, Liam. How was your Olympic experience? Was it how you imagined? Obviously there were challenges around spectators and COVID, but yeah, what was your experience?
The whole experience around the Olympics and the preparation for the Olympics was brilliant. It was a great experience. Obviously I was very disappointed with my race result, but very happy to have been competing in Tokyo. Felt very grateful towards the Japanese and just the fact that I was going ahead at this stage. They really put on a great show, and it didn't feel like it was any different to, well, I'd never been to the Olympics, but it certainly felt special anyways.
Well, we'll talk a bit more about that, but Klaudia Swolinska of Poland having problems at the bottom of the course. It was a really good run, but 2 penalties picked up in the late part of the course. Gate 22 and 24 put Klaudia Swolinska in 8th place, and well, looking like it won't be a final. But Avi Liebfarth, our race leader of the United States, still looking strong for a place in the final. She leads ahead of Romain Prigent and Noemi Fox. Next on course is Ursa Kragel of Slovenia, another seasoned campaigner on the circuit, hugely experienced athlete and very capable of making it to the final.
Absolutely, the Slovenians are always very good in Seo as well. So Ursa definitely has everything it takes to make to the final.
So coming down now, around the corner here at Seo and getting towards the business end of the course. In touch, 1.12 down on race leader Avi Liebfarth, but that's not a big deal. The main part of the course is from here onwards, and it's all about getting into the top 10. Then the athletes race in reverse order from the semi-final in that final. Better follow that live here at Planet Canoe. And of course, that gets underway 12 o'clock today, Central European time. Or giving a bit of upstream edge on the way out just to help the boat round.
It's Put down a clean run, maybe a little bit too conservative. She's not. She doesn't have too much speed on the boat, but who knows, if she keeps it clean, it might be enough for a spot in the final. Again, it's a difficult course, so you never know sometimes. Oh dear.
Oh, she looked like she didn't quite get the line actually at the top of the drop, and well, she's paid a heavy price for that, because a 2-second penalty on 22, and it looked like a 50-second penalty. It looks like she's coming back for the gate.
She just came in with too much speed on her right edge, and didn't have the strength to hold that edge.
And it's not going to be a final today for Ursa Kregel of Slovenia. So she paddles out her run. She's she's seen the sting in the tail on this Olympic course from the Barcelona 1992 Olympic Games. So only into 15th place as we watch Natalia Pasiepnik of Poland now on course at the top of the course, and another athlete who had a really strong performance at the early part of this World Cup season. A silver medal in Prague at World Cup 1, and then 12th in World Cup 2 in Markkleeberg. Well, the job today is to get into the final and score some good points in the ICF World Cup Series. But that touch on gate 7, well, that might hinder that progress.
She's going really fast. She would be up on the split if she hadn't picked up that touch. So yeah, if she keeps it up, she's definitely still within a shot to make the finals.
Well, she's a 2-time Olympian, and she's certainly got the pace, and you can see she's really still attacking this course. Nice and tight at 14, taking a tight line to 15. Is that a little bit too tight, I was going to say, but it's a good recovery, but that will cost her on the clock.
That exit out of that upstream is very difficult. It's physical. You just have to push really hard to go to exit the upstream, and she got caught out on it there.
So Pasiepnik of Poland now, you can see the time it's cost her, just over 2 seconds now, so 3.87 seconds down on the race leader, lead path of the United States, and it looks like potentially a penalty on 22.
Yeah, she really tried to cut the line there and picked up two penalties. I think she knew she'd be a little bit down on time, so she took that risk, and unfortunately it didn't pay off.
So Natalia Pasiepnik provisionally into 12th place and out of the final. So AV lead path leads ahead of Romain Prigent of France and Noemi Fox of Australia, the top three, and they're looking stronger and stronger for a place in the final. Only 11 boats to go, so very much we'll be confirming who's in that final very shortly. But next to start, Marie-Zélia Lafont of France.
Beautiful first upstream there. Can't do it any better than that.
Very fluid, very smooth athlete, and she is a World Cup winner.
She is, yeah. She trains in Pau. She's from Orthez. So she'd have spent a lot of time in her youth training in SEO.
She was 14th in the Tokyo Olympic Games just a month ago. That was her second Olympic Games for France. And now we'll be looking to build into the second part of the season. It's an interesting one. Having had the highlight of the Games, how do you kind of pick yourself back up, re-energize yourself as you come into the second part of the season in the World Championships?
I'd say it's different for everyone. I think we're very lucky to have a World Championships in an Olympic year, which isn't usually the case. So normally after the Olympics, there's kind of a void. There's no big competition right after it. So I can only speak for myself. I'm pretty motivated for World Championships, and took 2 weeks after the Games and then started training towards Worlds and the World Cups, and really keen to get some good results before the end of the season.
Well, good. It looks like a really good run coming together for Marie-Zélia Lafont of France. So still in touch on the second split, just half a second down a race leader, but having a plan B on the drop. And you can see again just how all that hard work is undone with just a little bit. She caught an edge.
Yeah, she dropped that left edge and just didn't carry enough speed towards the left of the river.
And Marie-Zélia Lafont goes from almost a guaranteed place in the final to 8th place, and looking like she's not going to progress into that final.
Such a shame. She was putting down a really clean run, but that bottom move is it's really tricky. Your arms are burning, and you really have to commit to the move. There's no safe way of doing it as well, and you just got to go for it.
So 10 to go in this women's kayak semi-final. So we will start to confirm who is in this afternoon's final, and we have Another Spanish paddler, and it is Laia Sorribes. And while we can expect big things from this athlete, 8th at the under-23 Europeans, which were just a fortnight ago, Solkan, Slovenia.
Yeah, Laia's got some great results as a junior. As an under-23, unfortunately, she picked up an injury after her junior years that really held her back for a couple of years, but she's starting to come back now, so it's great to see, and she's definitely got what it takes to follow in Mylan's footsteps and be one of the good canoe paddlers.
Well, 0.31 down, so she's absolutely doing what is needed. And speaking of Mayelen Chiraud, the three-time Olympic medalist for Spain, the home favourite here, she is still sitting in 6th place after that disappointing run where she picked up 4 seconds of penalties. So she's still in with a chance of a place in the final, but it's going to be tight. And, well, still in touch. Sorribes of Spain is continuing down the course. Now, it's all about the bottom part of the course. Setting it up.
Rotating a little bit. Oh, that's going to be so close. Oh.
Well, she certainly left the judges to decide on the downstream 22. It is clean, assuming she negotiated the gate correctly. So she comes towards the finish line, crosses the line, and provisionally into 2nd place. It's a great performance, but there is still a review on that bottom section.
Such a good run. She really cut it close towards the bottom. We'll have to see at the review, but I'm really hoping she stays clean, and because that'd definitely be a spot in the final.
Well, congratulations, Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America. You are into the final, so she'll be preparing for that. That's 12 o'clock Central European time, but still lots of action to go here because Camille Prigent of France is on course, and well, another very fast paddler, the 2018 under-23 world champion. And, well, she's had 2 finals so far in the first 2 World Cups of the season. Can she make it 3 from 3?
Yeah, she's definitely on track to get a great result on the overall World Cups. Camille trains in Paris, I believe. She travels quite a lot, so it's up on the split at the top. Well up as well, almost a second.
So it's looking very fluid. The Prigents are almost like a dynasty in canoe slalom. A bit like the Fox family, the Prigent family of France have very much got a history in this sport of canoe slalom and really tidy through 14-15.
Up and down, a great run here.
So again, this course, because it's so close to the, I guess, the French Pyrenees, then it's quite a popular course. The French are pretty successful here.
Yeah, the French used to have their selections here all the time, so that's why a lot of the French are great here. You look at Denis Galgo and see one. It's almost like it's his home course. And, oh,
wow!
Another one.
So she went from 0.9 advantage at the second split, and that's gone. It's all gone. She might still be clean, but Camille Prigent of France has unfortunately thrown it away at the bottom of the course.
She was looking like a sure thing, and that bottom move again has just claimed another victim.
Yeah, so it's going to be outside of the final and into 15th place. And such a consistent start to the season. 2 World Cup finals in the first 2 races, but it's not to be today for Prigent of France. So next to start for Slovakia, the 3rd Slovakian in this semi-final, Eliska Mintalova. Again, another athlete back from the Tokyo Games. She was 9th at the Tokyo Games and former Junior World Championship medalist. Looking very smooth. How does this differ in characteristic from the Tokyo course?
It's a completely different style of whitewater. Tokyo is an Olympic course, so plastic bollards. The moves are a little bit cleaner, and you won't. The chances of putting your paddle on a rock are a lot less than in Seo. In Seo, it feels like everywhere you want to put your paddle in the water, there seems to be a rock sometimes. So it's very different, but 2 lovely courses anyways.
And this is a real iconic course, isn't it? It was obviously built for the 1992 Games, and they've hosted an international event here every year since, except last year, but I think there was a good reason for that, the pandemic.
SA is a great part of the season. We come here almost every year, and it's always a great week and a very challenging race all the time.
So Eliska Mintalova of Slovakia is still in touch with a place in the final. 1.1 second down on race leader Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America. But, oh, nicely done. Makes that look easy through 22, 23. And surely, well, she won't be thinking about, well, I've done it now. But the danger is past. And surely Eliska Mintalova of Slovakia is paddling for a place in the final. Beautiful. Into second place, 97.12. Absolutely what's needed.
She really kept that boat flat in the gate 23 and just flew into gate 24 and perfectly done.
So well done, Avi Liebfarth of the United States, Eliska Mintalova of Slovakia, and Romain Prigent of France, all three into this afternoon's final. But still 7 boats to go, and 7 boats to determine who our remaining qualifiers are. So on course, well, another home favourite. It is Monica Doria Villarubla of Andorra, now coming down the top part of the course. Another Tokyo athlete, 16th in the Tokyo Games, and 4th just a few weeks ago at the Under-23 Europeans.
Yeah, Monica knows the course very well here. She lives and trains in Seo. Paddles in C1 as well. She's a very good C1 and K1 paddler. Going down a decent enough top, a bit down on the split with that touch as well.
So it's unfortunate that touch at the top of the course, because otherwise it's a really, really quick time.
But she said it's all going to be played for at the bottom of the course with those final moves, keeping the boat running above the drop as well.
Yeah, and unfortunately another penalty picked up on the upstream gate 14 there. She was almost too tight. She had no space to get her paddle shaft around the gate. And another 2 seconds added to the time. So the time to beat for automatic qualification into the final, 97.63. I suspect with those penalties, she'll be outside of that. She may have to sit and wait and see if it's enough. But this is the critical section, 22, 23, no problems there. Nicely done. Almost looked like she's still powering through.
Yeah, she just struggled to keep the boat running at the top of the course and lost some time.
So Monica Doria Villarubla for Andorra, provisionally into 10th place.
Definitely a respectable time though without those touches.
Yeah, it is those 4 seconds of penalties that really make the difference. Other than that, she'd have been automatically into the final. But it is good news for Australia's Noemi Fox, who is our next qualifier. On course now for New Zealand, Luca Jones. 6th in Tokyo, silver medalist in the Rio Olympic Games, and she took a World Championship bronze medal here 2 years ago on this course. So in terms of her World Cup season so far, well, again, another athlete with 2 finals, a 5th place and a 10th place. So in the mix, and a couple of good results here, and in Po next week, and she could put herself right back in the mix in the World Cup standings.
Yeah, Luca's definitely up there with one of the best K1 women paddlers at the moment. I think I heard she made every major World Championship final, World Championship or Olympic final since 2014. I'm not sure if that's true, but that's pretty impressive.
I think you might be right, and it is in a sport as unpredictable as canoe slalom. That is an impressive record.
Very impressive, yeah.
So she was up on the early split. We'll get an indication as to whether she's held on to that advantage, as she really tries to squeeze out some time on 17. And it's a little bit down, 0.42, but absolutely what's needed to make it through into this World Cup final.
She's looking really composed, really comfortable, so let's see what she can do in this final crux move.
So this is the move. Nicely done. She gets the kick from the wave. Very smooth. She's tight into the upstream gate 24, but a little penalty. The bows just lift up under the pole. And, well, Luca Jones of New Zealand crosses the line into 5th place, and that is enough to qualify into the final. But a little bit of late drama there as she picks up that penalty on the upstream gate 24. Well done, Luca. You're in the final. Five boats still to go in this women's kayak semi-final. They're the 5 fastest boats from the heats yesterday. And next up, well, another world champion, Katerina Minarek-Kudayova for the Czech Republic, world champion in 2015, two-time Olympian, and very much capable of getting into the final. But already, an early mistake there at the top of the course. Unusual place to catch your bows.
It's a very weird place on the course, sticky fingers. That's what we call the move. I guess she just put in too much edge and got thrown to the right of the course. And yeah, it's a difficult move. There haven't been too many people getting caught out there, but I was expecting a bit more.
So a little bit low into the upstream gate 12. She is clean so far, but you can see 3.1 seconds. That's how much time she lost for that mistake at the top of the course. Super smooth on 14. Go for a tight exit on 14 to 15. Delivers that nicely. But it's Avi Liebfarth, Aliska Mintalova, Romain Prigent, Noemi Fox, Luca Jones. There are qualifiers for the final so far. Still Karina Kundler, the double world champion for Austria, sitting outside at the moment, but sitting in that pole position for a spot in the final.
I think she lost a lot of energy at the top here, and she's just not running the boat as smoothly as she usually does. Struggling on that last move as well.
Well, it's a great plan B though, isn't it? Because from where she was on edge and really support stroking, but it looks like a penalty on 24, and it's all gone wrong for Katarina Minarik-Kudayova of the Czech Republic, and into 18th place. So bad news for the Czech Republic is good news for Austria, and Karina Kundler joins the other 5 athletes in the World Cup final. 12 o'clock Central European time. You can follow that live. Next up, Mallory Franklin of Great Britain comes into the upstream gate 2. A World Championship silver medalist in 2018 in Rio. And no stranger to performing. And of course, she won a silver medal in Tokyo in the women's canoe event. That will be up tomorrow. You'll be able to follow that live here as well tomorrow here in Seoul.
Say she's happy to be back in her K1 now. She probably focused a lot more on the C1 this year for the Olympics, and which paid off big time. And now she's doubling up again.
Well, she actually had to fly back from the Olympics to go and do the selection series to qualify in the kayak. So she's up on the split by over a second. So it's a good run coming together for Mallory Franklin of Great Britain. But we've seen so many good runs undone on the bottom part of the course. So concentration essential all the way down.
Really tight on those 2 offsets.
So she's a World Cup winner in the kayak event. I think she won on her home course, Lee Valley, in 2019.
Miles up on the split there.
2.5 seconds. Wow, it's going to be all about this bottom section now. Can she get the line through 22?
Easy.
Makes it smooth, even able to paddle, but just almost a bit too easy. A little bit low in 24, that'll cost her on the clock. But Mallory Franklin of Great Britain surely will take the race lead here. 95.95 the time to beat, 92.63. Mallory Franklin smashes into the race lead for Great Britain.
Nicely done.
Well, that's a strong performance there, and getting closer to the 90 seconds with 3 boats still to go. And they're the fastest 3 boats from the heats. So Franklin, Liebfarth, Mintalova, Prigent, Fox, Jones and Kundler are qualifiers so far. 3 more spots up for grabs. And Kimberly Woods of Great Britain now on course. She was 10th in the final of the Tokyo Games. But a very consistent performer. And starting to kind of consistently make those finals and midway, but she's got a 2-second penalty early on that first upstream gate 2. So she was 5th at the European Championships earlier on this year in Ivrea in Italy. And she had a 4th place in the Prague World Cup, the first World Cup of the season, and then followed that up with a 26th place in Markkleeberg, Germany. But another penalty now on the upstream gate 12. Kimberly Woods of Great Britain really in a little bit of trouble now, especially the penalties mounting up. 6 seconds of penalties, and it's not going to be a place in the final today for Kimberly Woods.
Felt like she was fighting for everything right from the get-go. Wasn't getting the good lines, and it's all over.
It's
Plain
really
to see.
Yeah, it's really not happening. And it is really difficult to, once you lose your rhythm, it's so difficult to get back into that rhythm.
Yeah, once you make that first mistake, it feels like you lose some energy. It feels like the lines are harder to get, and it's really hard to stay on pace and finish off your run.
So as Kimberly Woods of Great Britain paddles out her run, in fact, she nails the bottom move there. Well, that's bad news for Great Britain, but it's good news for Germany, because it means that Elena Appel will be in the final. And for Elena, that is good news, because that makes it 3 finals from 3 races.
Yeah,
a 7th,
excellent.
A 3rd, and, well, what will it be? She gets to go and challenge for a podium spot.
2 boats to go. Maya-Len Choro sitting in 9th, so it'll be a close one. Is it going to be Maya-Len or Anna or Jess getting that last spot in the final?
Well, that's a good observation there, Liam, because I think when she came down earlier, I think we didn't think she would stand the test of time, really, her performance with a 4 seconds penalties, but she may well get the chance again. But it's all about Ana Shatila on course for Brazil. Hugely experienced paddler and 3-time Olympian.
3-time Olympian, and she's 25, I think, 24, 25. Yeah. So it goes and shows how good she is already.
She's always a real exciting paddler to watch, a real risk taker.
Yeah, all in or nothing. Great to watch.
Yeah, she leaves nothing on the river. She was 13th in Tokyo. She is a 2-time under-23 World Championship silver medalist and junior world champion in 2014.
Yeah, World Cup medalist in 2019 as well in Prague. Definitely fast enough for the win.
So Ana Shatila will be setting the second split off very shortly. 4.34 down, so it is getting a little bit tighter at that bottom end. So Maya-Len Choro of Spain, 99.75 is the time that Ana has to beat in order to make an automatic place in the final. And yes, I think it is set right up, but I think she may well just do it. Ana Shatila will cross the line ahead of that and goes into 3rd place. That's deceptively quick.
Wow, yeah.
And she found time at the bottom of the course, because it was kind of a little bit, 4.3 down on the middle section.
Yeah, she found some time towards the bottom and managed to bring it home.
Brilliant. So, well done, Ana Shatila for Brazil. You are in the final. Maya-Len Choro still for Spain, having to wait and see as we have the final boat on course. And it is the legend that is Jessica Fox of Australia.
No need to introduce Jess now. I think everybody knows who she is. Definitely the GOAT of canoe slalom, in my opinion. It's funny, it's going to be between her and Maya-Len for the spot in the final, kind of that rivalry since 2012.
That's interesting, isn't it? So 3-time Olympian, 3 times a medal in this event, the kayak event, and she won the gold medal in the canoe event in Tokyo. Look, she's nearly a second up on Mallory Franklin of Great Britain. Of course, Mallory Franklin, that time 92.63, significantly quicker than the rest of the field. So Jessica Fox is finding time even more. Can she even get close to 90 seconds?
Yeah, you don't want to be sitting in 10th position when Jess Fox is coming down.
So nicely through 17. Jessica Fox of Australia wearing that bib number 1, world number 1. She's a multiple world champion. She's the defending World Cup champion. And, she's not choosing to take a break after the Olympic Games.
I was about to say she didn't switch. She didn't take long to switch back on after the Olympics.
And playing it safe there. She runs into 24. She delivers the move really well, but just making sure she doesn't pick up her late penalty. She's got the job done. Well done, Jess. You are in the final, and goes into 2nd place. So good news for Jessica Fox of Australia, but it does mean that Maya-Len Choro, the home favourite for Spain, misses out, and she has to settle for 11th place alongside the Eva Tersel of Slovenia, the world champion here in 2019, who again will miss out on that final. But here are the results from the women's kayak semi-final, and these 10 athletes will race in the final, 12 o'clock Central European time. You can follow it live at Planet Canoe. And Mallory Franklin of Great Britain will go off last in that final. But here's the athletes that miss out. Mayelen Chiraud, the Olympic champion from Rio. Eva Tersel, the world champion and reigning world champion for 2019 here, misses out. So a great shot here of the venue here in La Seu. Nestled in the foothills of the Pyrenees. It's just a stunning venue, isn't it?
Definitely is. The town is brilliant. I think everybody loves to come to Seu. Always a great event.
In the shadow of the Cadi Mountains, then we are really experiencing some exciting racing. And don't go away, because up next will be the men's kayak semi-finals. So welcome back to the action here at the third race of the ICF Canoe Slalom World Cup in 2021. And it is now men's kayak semi-final time. 40 boats qualified through in the heats into this semi-final. They race in reverse order of their performance in those heats. But only 10 places are up for grabs in the final. So it is going to be a tough, cutthroat competition here in the sunshine in La Seu as we prepare. And here is the start list. So we'll be led off by Geronimo Cortez of Argentina. And then, well, we have some big names on this start line. The Olympic champion, Yuri Preskovic of the Czech Republic, not here. But we pretty much have a full field of top athletes racing. That includes the likes of the legend Peter Kauser of Slovenia, Joe Clark, the Olympic champion for Great Britain of Rio 2016, Jakub Grigor of Slovakia, silver medalist in Tokyo 2020, and a real form boat of this season. But we will be, well, finishing off with the two Spanish favourites, David Lorente and Juan Crespo, who were both on the podium at the World Championships here in La Seu back in 2019. They qualified as the two fastest qualifiers in the heats, and they will go off last in this semi-final. So the sun's shining here. Conditions are perfect, not a puff of wind. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, no spectators here at this great venue. But, well, it doesn't change the atmosphere. The athletes really racing it out for World Cup honours. This race 3 of the 4-race series. And, of course, next weekend, we will be racing in Pau, just over the Pyrenees in France, in that World Cup final. And points up for grabs in the World Cup final. It is double points to determine who takes the World Cup. Overall standings for 2021. At the moment, Jakub Grigor of Slovakia is leading the way in the World Cup after 2 races, ahead of Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy, Michael Smolan of the United States. Those are the top 3 at the moment in the World Cup series. Vit Prindis of the Czech Republic 4th, Peter Kauser of Slovenia in 5th place. But all to play for at the halfway point in this World Cup series, and we are underway with racing with Geronimo Cortez of Argentina. World ranking of 139. But that doesn't really reflect the standard of his ability in this competition. But an early penalty there picked up on the downstream gate 3. So 56 competitors started the competition. 40 boats went through into this semi-final. And over the course of the next 60 minutes or so, we will determine which 10 athletes will race in the final. And that final, well, you can follow that. 12 o'clock Central European time today. We'll be live with the women's kayak final, followed by the men's kayak final. So Geronimo Cortez of Argentina sets the pace. Well, we've already seen a time of 92.63 in the women's kayak event. And, well, myself, Andy Maddock, alongside me, Liam Jagou of the Irish team, racing in the men's canoe semi-final tomorrow. And I can anticipate the time in the men's kayak going, well, maybe close to 85, 86 seconds.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. Well, how fast was Jess? Mallory was 90, close to 90, was she?
92, 92.6.
Yeah, so definitely around 80, 82, 83 maybe.
Well, we shall wait and see. And again, in the semi-finals, it is all about getting through in the top 10. You don't have to win it, but you've got to get in the top 10.
Good effort by Gero. He arrived in Seo only the day of his qualification run, the day before his qualification run, because he had problems at the airport. So good effort to make it into the semi-finals.
Well, respect to the athlete. Hopefully he has a better preparation running into the Pole World Cup race so too, next week. So second up, it is Pitt Ruhr of Switzerland. Gets his semi-final underway. In and out of the upstream gate 2. And the top part of the course, that upstream gate 2, it's not easy, is it?
No, it's not easy. The top of the course is difficult because the water shifts quite a lot. So it is quite hard to aim into that first upstream.
And how much, because you're right about the water swirls from side to side, doesn't it? How much do you spot the water and put your plan in place then? Or do you just stick to whatever your plan was?
I think you really need to constantly adapt to what's in front of you. There's no point in trying to, obviously everybody goes in with a plan, but the water's going to be the way it is, so you've got to adapt to what's underneath your boat at the time.
So Pitt Ruhr of Switzerland in the middle section of the course, putting in a tidy run. It's clean so far on the top 14 gates of the course.
It's putting down a decent top part of the course. Pitt trains in Yunnan. I know him quite well. I trained a lot in Yunnan myself, so being coached by Pierre Laval, I believe.
And now a few penalties coming in. A touch on gate 17, touch on the downstream gate 18. And I think one thing's for sure in this men's kayak semi-final is we can be pretty certain that penalties will be very costly indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the Cayman women, it was quite clean to get into the finals. Only a couple touches, so I'd say in the men's it's going to be similar.
So 107.36, it is enough to take the race lead at this early stage, but it includes 6 seconds of penalties, and I fear not enough for a place in the final. But next up, it is Yu Mishima of Japan.
Great to see the Japanese paddlers out racing the final World Cups and Worlds this year. We hadn't seen them before the game, so nice to see those nations coming back out after a lengthy spell on the bench due to the pandemic.
Well, that's right. We look forward to being able to use that venue, that fantastic venue, the Kasai Canoe Slalom Centre, in the future, hopefully for World Championships and big events.
Yeah, I'd really hope so. I mean, I went to Japan in 2019, got to experience Tokyo, the real Tokyo before the pandemic, so I'd love to go back there and race again and get a bit of the real Japanese experience.
Well, it's a tidy run coming together here for the Japanese athletes. Really cutting the lines fine, but remember, a time under 90 seconds is, I would say, you have to be under 90 seconds to make the final.
Yeah, I'd say so, definitely, yeah.
So extending that advantage, but of course we're in the early stages of this semi-final competition. 40 boats in total, and some very fast boats still to come. Nicely done on the bottom part of the course, though, for Mishima of Japan. As coming down, we'll stop the clock. Well under 100 seconds, 94.30. It is a respectable run there, a clean run, and it is good for the race lead at this point in time. So next to start, it is Christian De Dionigi of Italy. He's no stranger to making World Cup finals. He was 5th in Markleberg. And, well, one thing you know with the Italians is they're super quick in terms of their pace. And quite often quite high-risk paddlers. They like their risk-taking.
Yeah, I think so. And the fact that they have such a good paddler in Giovanni, who went to the Olympics, I mean, it forces all the others to take risks and to take risks, to go faster and to challenge that top spot. So they have to really, and I think in K1 men at the moment, you have to take a lot of risk to be competitive.
So Christian has had a good start, but has had a 2-second penalty on the upstream gate 12. So can't afford any more penalties on this course. Remember, a 2-second penalty awarded for any touch with any part of your body, your boat or your paddle, and there's another one there picked up on the exit of the upstream gate 17.
Yeah, I think it'll be really tricky to make it to the finals with a touch today in the K1 men.
Yeah, when we're looking at a total time of 86 seconds ish, then there's just so little margin for that. And we know actually for Seo is legendary for being super tight in terms of the difference between, I think, well, just the margins involved to make the final. 4.92 the advantage. He does go under 90 seconds, so he shows his pace with an 85.38 time. But those 4 seconds of penalties have left the door wide open.
Yeah. Next up, Mathieu Desnos, one of the quickest paddlers on his day. He put down phenomenal runs when he's on it. Kind of an in or out paddler. He's either really, really fast or he picks up a couple of touches, so it'll be exciting to see what he puts down today. He knows the course in Seo pretty well as well. I think it suits his style, so let's see.
Well, he's on course now, and you're right, exciting paddler, and he is a World Championship bronze medalist at under 23 level. So as you say, he is very capable of when he finds the lines, and well, he's done just that on the top section.
Picked up an early touch, but that could really free him and allow him to just take even more risk and put down a super fast time. I think Mathieu has the speed to absorb a touch and make it into the finals.
So there's not a full Brazilian team here in Seo, but I'm sure we will see a full team as they run into the World Championships. 3 weeks' time, we'll be in Bratislava in Slovakia for the World Championships. And it'd be interesting, Liam, just looking at that, the course has been reconfigured for the World Championships. Did you go on the training camp a week or so ago?
No, I didn't go to the training camp in August, so I'll have a limited amount of time on the course, like a lot of people. But I think it stays similar. It just looks a bit bigger, and we'll see. We'll see. It'll be a nice surprise. It's always nice to paddle on a new course anyway. So yeah. Usually for the World Championships we get to train on the course a little longer, but this year we won't.
Well, it makes it quite a neutral venue in some ways, because even the Slovaks have not had that much time to prepare for that. Mathieu Desnos of Brazil crosses the line, 89.38. Sorry, 88.87 his time.
Yeah, it won't be for today for Mathieu. 86. It's not a bad time, like it's fast.
It's good enough for the race lead at the moment, but as you say, that probably that touch puts him out of contention for the final. I think an 86 would be in contention for the final. Here's a paddler who could surprise everyone. Michał Pasiut of Poland. Always in and around that 10th place in these World Cup events.
He's shown before that he can win a World Cup. He won the World Cup in 2019 in Bratislava, so he's definitely got that pace. It's just putting it down on the day.
He's a World Championship finalist as well. But again, the Polish had a real reputation. Their men's kayaks super fast. Probably gone a little bit off the boil compared to the level they were a few years ago, certainly in terms of depth. But if they get it right, they'll be on form. He's up on the split early on.
They've definitely got some great paddlers. I think we won't be long before we see them back on some podiums and in the finals. Hopefully today.
So Michał Pasiut now exiting the gate 17. He's clean up until that point. And that's so important as he goes for a place in the 10-boat final here at the 3rd ICF World Cup of the 2021 season. Over the drop, takes a very direct line, 22, 23. Has to work a bit hard to get to 24, but it's a good run coming together. Surely this is going to take the race lead. Michał Pasiut of Poland paddles for a place, yes, into first place. 86.48, a clean run, and absolutely what is required. Now, well, he's got a bit of a wait to see whether that's going to be enough.
Quite a long wait, yeah, but decent run by Michał.
So what will he do now? So he knows he's done a pretty good run. He knows he's in the mix for a final. How will he prepare for the final when at the same time he's kind of trying to work out whether he's in the final?
Yeah, he'll probably spend some time watching if he's going to make it, and then go do a recovery and get some food in him before the finals. Next up, Sam Curtis, a patriot of mine. First semi-final for Sam. So good to see him. He's a real workhorse. He's put a lot of work into training in Canoe-Slalom, so I'm very happy to see him in the semi-final.
Well, let's hope he finds the rhythm here. I think we were chatting yesterday, Liam. We were saying the Irish have a real strong record here performing on La Seu.
I do feel like it kind of disqualifies you as Irish if you're not good in Seu. Really, you look at the history: Ian Wiley, Mike Corcoran, Owen Reinert. They're all great paddlers in Seu. So it's good to see Sam and Noel coming up next in the semi-finals.
So a bit sticky on 12, but gets out, keeps it clean. That's the important thing.
Sam has spent a lot of time in Seu in 2019 training here, so he knows the course very well.
Because, of course, the World Championships in 2019 were not only the World Championships, but also the Olympic qualifier event. So pretty significant race for all nations.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people spent a lot of time here and invested a lot of training here. And you can see it's still paying off with Sam in the semi-final. He's a little bit off the pace here. He's not running the boat as smoothly as he'd like to, but still keeping it together.
It's 2 touches, unfortunately, but a respectable run still coming together for Sam Curtis of Ireland. In and out of the upstream 24. And, well, for his first semi-final, then you wouldn't believe that. He's certainly not let any nerves get to him.
Yeah.
And a strong performance there. 5th place.
Good effort. Shame about those touches, and he lost the line a little bit in a couple of the upstreams, but good to see him in the semi-final.
So Pasiut for Poland, our early leader, ahead of Desnos of Brazil and De Dionigi of Italy. But still 33 boats to go in this men's kayak semi-final. So next to start, it is Muto Yusuke of Japan. So 2 Japanese boats in this men's kayak semi-final. Now coming down through this top section. We've seen a few boats get caught out between gate 5 and 6 on what's the section known as sticky fingers. The water surges around, it's quite swirly, and if you're caught unaware, you can end up with your bows of your boat sucked into the eddy and a big time loss.
Good to see a second Japanese paddler in the semi-final, a young paddler as well, 20 years old. Great to see that the Japanese program has some young paddlers for the future.
Well, we hope that obviously hosting the Tokyo Olympic Games will provide a legacy, that great course that has been built, and you'd hope that also that facility then helps to the nations to develop. We saw that with the Spanish team in Barcelona, 92. you'd argue the course itself was fantastic, but it was actually the legacy probably kicked in 10 or so years later, where we started to see Spain really emerging as a player on the world scene.
Nicely done there.
So it's a clean run for the Japanese paddler, Muto Yusuke. Now sprinting to the finish. It's going to be outside of 90 seconds, but it's a respectable run. Stops the clock, 91.47, and into 4th place. So not only, obviously, this World Cup race is competing for World Cup points and credit in the World Cup series, but it's also an important stepping stone towards those World Championships.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a World Cup is still a big event, so gaining confidence and getting spots in the finals in the World Cups ahead of World Championships is a great confidence booster.
So next on course, Erik Holmer of Sweden, who was 9th in Tokyo, so made the final in the Olympic Games. Great performance from Erik there. And so far this season, 16th in Prague, 9th in Markkleeberg. So made the last final of the World Cup in Germany.
Having a pretty good season, making one final in Markkleeberg and close enough as well in Prague, 16th. And then making the final in the Olympics is already a great achievement. I'm sure he's very proud of it.
Well, yes, and he's really, really cutting the lines in this middle section of the course. He was 0.88 down on Passion of Poland, our race leader at the moment. But it looks like, did he just catch? He did catch gate 15 and also a touch on 11. And that's the margin, isn't it? You've got to take the risks, but a couple of touches and suddenly it's all going a little bit in the wrong direction.
Yeah, you can't play it safe in a semi-final in a World Cup. I mean, if you want to make the final, you have to take some risks, and sometimes it doesn't pay off. Sometimes you're on the wrong side of the bubble. Unfortunately today, that's what happened with Erik, but I'm sure in the next one he'll be on the right side of the bubble and make another final.
Well, and it's a quick time. It is another 86.24. That's his raw time, but those 2 touches, 4 seconds in penalties, are really what proved costly. And, well, he has to settle at the moment for that 4th place.
Next up is Boris Neveu, vice world champion here in Seo in 2009. I think he was only 22 or 23 at the time, so a couple of years ago now. Good to see him in the finals here, in the semi-finals here again, and after the Olympics, curious to see what he's going to do after this season. We'll see him racing still, or if maybe this is his last World Cup in Seo. We'll have to see.
Hugely experienced, as you say, and world champion in 2014. And, well, he was on the podium earlier on this season.
Yeah, Markkleeberg came 3rd, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 21st in the first World Cup of the season in Prague. But then, yeah, straight back, bounced back into the final and on the podium. And he was competitive. He was 7th in Tokyo. So made the final there. So 0.34 down on race leader Passion of Poland. So absolutely in touch. The race isn't won at the top of the course. It's all about from here onwards. This is where it's got to be kept clean. You've got to find those fast lines. And Boris, no stranger to the pressure that is on in these semi-finals. The men's kayak semi-final can often be almost more of a race than the final.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly difficult to make the finals. I mean, once you're in the finals, it's you almost have less pressure because you just want to put down your fastest run. Whereas in the semi-final, it's just trying to get that spot in the top 10. Well, you could really see the experience here with Boris. You can tell he just knows the course here. The French, especially that generation of French, they've spent so many hours training here for racing for their selections, and takes the lead with that. And I wouldn't be surprised if that makes it into the finals.
Silky smooth run there from Boris Neveu of France, 85.11, and yeah, race leader, and surely that is the new benchmark. And yeah, I think good enough for a top 10 for sure.
I'd say so, yeah. You can just tell the people who know how to paddle here, like, it's just effortless. Boris just put down a really smooth run. He wasn't fighting for anything, and he ends up on the top of the leaderboard. So one of those courses.
So next up for Poland it is Krzysztof Majacek launching his campaign for a place in this World Cup final. 10 boats in that World Cup final, 40 boats racing for those positions, and it is cutthroat racing here in the sunshine in the Spanish Pyrenees.
Good top half of his course. He's really taking some risks, necking some gates, and say be competitive on the first split.
So Krzysztof, another athlete freshly back from the Olympic Games in Tokyo, so has had little downtime before coming here and getting back into the second part of the season. 15th he finished in the Tokyo Games, and now running through the upstream 14. Quite a high line, 14 to 15 there. Do you think that's the losing a bit of time? Do you think the direct line or the higher line?
I don't think that was his plan. It's really hard to keep your boat from going up in that eddy. It's a really strong eddy. There's a lot of current pushing you back up. So I don't think it was necessarily his plan, but he got some good speed out of it afterwards. So I don't think it was that big of a loss of time.
Well, he's really taking the risk. 22-23, straight lines it, and Majacek of Poland now through the last gate. He's going to be outside the race lead time, but it is a respectable run. 89.85 and 5th place for the Polish paddler, but it is Boris Nouveau of France leading ahead of Michał Pasiut of Poland and Mathieu Desnos of Brazil holding at the top 3. And we still have 28 boats to go in this, the men's kayak semi-final here at La Seu d'Urgell in Spain. World Cup 3 of 4 live here at Planet Canoe, and of course we will be live next weekend for the Pole World Cup, and alongside me, Andy Maddock, it is Liam Jigou of Ireland, the World Cup winner in the men's canoe event from the 2020 season.
Great first up there by Frederick. Excellent second up as well. He's really on fire here. He's trying to put down a really fast run, taking all the risks he can.
So it's great to see two Swedish paddlers. Frederick's best result so far, 47th in Markleberg. So already it's a season best.
Again, that punt's just not working on out left. Seems to be a rock like right at the behind the boat, so it's just doesn't seem to be paying off for the athletes that are trying it. Small touch there. It's a shame.
Yeah, the penalty on 15 along with those little time losses on the upstreams, and they just start to aggregate, and we'll get an indication of how much. 6.77, so a really strong start, now hampered as he comes towards the bottom part of the course.
I really like the attitude he came into the semi-final with, though. He just went for it and tried to get his spot in the finals. It's not going to pay off today, but good effort.
You're right, and there's a real sort of phrase, isn't there, about leaving nothing on the river. And you don't want to have any regrets that you were too cautious on a run. And, well, it isn't going to be a final today for Frederick, but it is a 9th place at the moment. 94.36 total. So Boris Nouveau of France still leading the way, 85.11. That's next to start the first of 3 British boats in this men's kayak semi-final. Chris Bowers for Great Britain, and well, he's had a good season. He's won an under-23 World Championship and European Championship bronze medal this season. So building into the second part of the season.
Yeah, Chris has kind of been in the shadow of Bradley and Joe, but like he's an exceptional paddler. He can be just as fast as anyone. Great season in the under-23 events. I'm sure he's looking forward to putting down some big runs with the seniors and getting some senior results now.
So he has made World Cup finals in the past, not yet this season, 14th and 17th so far in the World Cups this year, but he is up. And another athlete going for the punt, as you say, Liam, and it's not working there. So he had the advantage on our race leader going into the split. We'll have to see just how much time that has cost him.
It's a really tempting punt. It looks great. Honestly, I was going to go for it, but I think I won't anymore.
Super tight round 17. And now heading down towards the business end of the course. 0.74, well, still in touch with race leader Neveu of France. And this is where it's so critical to deliver the lines. Just having to wait a little bit off 23, keeps it clean though. Again, using the wall on the exit of 24, and it's going to be a clean run for Chris Bowers of Great Britain, stopping the clock, 86.49, and into third place.
That's a decent run. Shame about there's just a couple areas he lost some time, that punt, and towards the end in the drop as well, he wasn't as fast as he could have been.
That's a great slow-mo of the exit of 17.
Yeah.
He couldn't have been more intimate with that pole all the way through the gate, but he kept it clean, and he's put himself in the mix. Third place for now, but it is still Neveu of France leading with that time, 85.11. So, well, next up, another Irish paddler, Noel Hendrick.
Yeah, Noel, one of the younger guys on team. Loves to take some big risks. Can be a very, very fast paddler on his day as well. Very familiar with the course in Seo as well. They spent an awful lot of time here with his brother in 2019. So he knows the course well, and he can be very fast here. Excellent punt out of the first upstream on the left there. He's on it. I think he'll be up on the first split. Close to it anyways.
So we'll soon find out. Very good. 0.28 down. So it's all job there. Done at the top of the course.
Nice punt. First K1 paddler we see that actually gets a really good punt.
He was at full stretch, wasn't he, on the exit there, but made it work really well for him. A tight exit here, 14 to 15. Can he make that work?
Three taking no prisoners. Oh, he was on such a good run. Oh no. Well, that's Noel's style. He just goes all in. He really takes as much risk as he can, and sometimes stuff like that happens when you're going all in. Didn't work out today, but I'm sure it'll work out in the future.
Yeah, you could just see he went for that tie line, didn't he? Exit 14.
Yeah.
He got 15, but he just left a little bit too much to do on 16.
Yeah, he was. But I think that's a good attitude to have. He was going for the fastest run he could, and fortunately didn't pay off today.
So Noel Hendrick of Ireland, it's not what he wanted, but he's shown his pace, and he's got still another opportunity next weekend in Po, ahead of the World Championships, but has to settle for 14th place in this semi-final so far. So we still have 26 boats to go in this men's kayak semi-final. They're the fastest boats from yesterday. The heats competition was a different course, but again, the characteristics of this course, both courses have been quite different to usual, haven't they?
Yeah, quite original. Usually in Seo it's hard to be original. The courses are often quite similar, but see, that 5 to 6 move is something I've never done in Seo, so that's good to get something new. Callum having a bit of difficulties there in 5-6. Struggle on the first upstream as well.
So Callum Gilbert of New Zealand, under 23 World Championship finalist, and 23rd in Tokyo. Had a disappointing games.
Yeah, I think Callum had some issues with an ear infection, I think, before his race. That's really unlucky. That's really what you don't want that to happen at the games, but unfortunately he really struggled with that, I think.
And how much were you affected at the games? The delay by a year, did that work in your favour, or was that a bit of a challenge?
I think so. I think it worked in my favour ultimately. Gave me an extra year to improve, and I think I'm a much better paddler than I was back in 2020. So I can't say it was obviously it was difficult. It was difficult for everyone to wait an extra year, not knowing what was going on, but look, I got to train a bit more, and yeah. Didn't work out in the end, but I'd say I'm a better paddler now.
So Callum Gilbert of New Zealand had to go back for gate 23, and well, that's cost him just too much time, and it's not to be today. So Boris Neveu still leading, 85.11. Callum Gilbert of New Zealand, well, his mind will be probably refocusing on the extreme slalom. That will be, we're doing the time trials later on today and the actual competition, head-to-head competition tomorrow. You can follow that live. Next up, Manuel Munch of Switzerland. And it looks like he took a bit of a risk. I could hear your deep intake of breath. The risk on gate 1.
It was super tight on gate 1. I know Manu very well. I grew up in Nunang with him, so very, very tight on gate 1. But he seems to have managed it pretty well. Shame about that touch on gate 7. Manu relocated to Bratislava and a couple of years ago to train there. This is his final World Cup of the season, so excellent punt there as well, Manu.
So he's an under-23 World Championship finalist, 48th at the Markleberg World Cup, but I don't think that represents his skill. Oh, but another mistake there. You can see just how easily it is to... The margins are so tight.
Yeah, it can be really tempting to cut that line, but if you drop your edge a little bit too soon, it's game over, and that's what happened there with Rob and with Manu, and what happened with Noel as well earlier. Just need to be a bit more patient in that section. I think the timing in SEO is what's difficult. It's very different to other courses.
You can definitely see the Spanish excel on this course and their home course, and we do see that around the world. We see the Germans excelling on Augsburg, Markleberg, the British team on Lee Valley, but the Spanish factor is a big one here.
Yeah, there really is something. When you see the Spanish paddling here, they have something different to the rest of us. And
so Manuel Munch of Switzerland into 14th place, outside a place in the final. And it is still the top 3, Nouveau of France, Passiot of Poland, and Bowers of Great Britain, as we approach the halfway point in this men's kayak semi-final here. Perfect conditions for racing.
Next up, Jan Rohr. It's really good to see the Swiss program so strong. Really, that final performance from Lucas Vero and Simon Vero in 2016 did wonders for their program. There's so much youth in their team, and in Extreme Slalom they're great as well. They've got some great athletes, great coaches in their setup.
And in fact, he won a silver medal in the Extreme Slalom at the Under-23 World Championships.
Was it Jan or was it Dimitri?
I think it was Jan.
It was Jan, yeah. Wow. Yeah, see, I'm mixing them up because they're all really good at it. So it's really great to see. It's one of those smaller teams that's, since I've started paddling anyways, have really developed. So good to see.
So there was an advantage, 0.79 at the top of the course. Jan found time at the top of the course. He's cancelled that out with a little touch on the upstream gate 12.
I think he picked up some time there on the upstream and the offsets there. He was very fast. 2.5 seconds down, that's not too bad. I don't think Boyce was incredibly fast towards the bottom, so he might be able to get maybe get a second on him towards the end, which would be a decent run.
So this is an opportunity to get around. It is nicely done. It's got to be tight in, keep the boat flat.
Nicely done, nice.
And it is a good run here for the young Swiss paddler. Jan Rohrer goes into 4th place, 87.33. He looks pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, I'd say he'd be disappointed with that touch in the end, but he really went for it, and good to see. Good run from Jan.
So that is actually the fastest run time we've seen down the course, 85.33 so far. So, sorry, I'm wrong there.
Second fastest.
Second fastest run, but that's still for the young paddler under pressure in this senior World Cup. Then great performance.
Wasn't phased by the touch as well, which is always good.
So Martin Srebotnik of Slovenia next, wearing bib number 22, starts his run. And again, we were talking about the finish sprint. Seo used to have that really long start sprint, and the beam isn't now actually as you go over the drop, isn't it? It's
it's kind of the new ICF trend is shortening the start sprint as well. In Tokyo, it was about one stroke, and you were already on the whitewater. So I mean, the finish sprint, a shorter, fitter sprint can't help. The start, I mean.
Well, it's an interesting one. It's it's nearly a second up for Srebotnik of Slovenia on the top section of the course. How close was he on the exit of 12?
Yeah, super smooth paddler. You can just see the influence of having a paddler like Kauser in their setup. They all paddle so well, super smooth, really know how to use the water, and look at that. Wow.
But a couple of touches there within a couple of gates, and all of a sudden the advantage has gone. You were saying about the influence of Kauser. Well, it's almost evident in his boat as well. That looks like a cast-off from Peter Kauser.
For sure, yeah.
So, well, he does well. I thought he was going to be late into the upstream 24 from that position in 23. But Martin Srabotnik of Slovenia, it's a great run. But that includes 4 seconds. So look at that, 82.25, the raw time. Stunning time.
Yeah. Just shows how fast you can go on this course. 82, wow.
Wow, yeah, that's got to be one of the shorter courses that we've had in terms of on the World Cup circuit. So that's good enough at the moment for a place in second place with 4 seconds of penalties. He'll be ruining those that middle section.
It's hard to do as well in SEO. The margins are always really, really close. So when you put down a raw time that fast, it's impressive. Next up, Popiela. It's been around forever as well. Beijing Olympian. That's brilliant. Great to see, and he's still so fast as well. So explosive. To keep that style of paddling at that age is really impressive. He's just as explosive as any 20-year-old. So.
It's his first World Cup of the season, isn't it? And I thought he put something on. Apologies, Darius, if I'm wrong. I thought he put something out that he was retiring.
That's what I understood as well. But maybe he got given a World Cup and figured he'd finish off. He's done well to do it because he's up on the split now. So he spent the winter in reunion training for the season. So not lacking any training, that's for sure.
No, well, he's certainly still looking sharp. 0.18 up on the first split over our race leader, Boris Naveau of France, and we'll get an indication as at the second split as to whether he's managed to hold it on, whether his fitness is still good enough on the second part of the course. 2.44 down, still clean, and a little bit of time now to make up as he goes over the drop. 21-22. He's a silver medalist at European Championship level. He's a 3-time World Cup podium winner. Yeah. So very capable of making it into this final and hugely experienced. But it comes to the line. It's going to be outside of the top 5, 89.56. And he goes into 8th place.
Yeah, fighting for it a little bit there all the way down. Just kept on hitting the wall with his tail, and yeah, it just wasn't his day.
Well, it's great to see Darius, because I know he put so much effort into securing that Polish Olympic place, and unfortunately he wasn't to go to the games this year.
Yeah, it's Majorczak. I'm sorry if I'm terrible at pronouncing the name. Who qualified the spot at Euros?
It was indeed, yes.
Yeah.
So he didn't get to go to the games. It was Christoph Majorczak, who is sitting in 9th place at the moment. So on course for Germany now, Tim Maxeiner, 33rd and 26th. Those are his first 2 results of the 2021 World Cup season.
There are another paddler who's racing for a selection of World Championships this year. So kind of double pressure for him, pressure of making the final and also pressure of beating his other compatriots to secure a spot for Worlds.
So in touch, 0.36 down on the top, in touch with our race leader. And of course, Hannes Eigner, compatriot, not racing here, who took the bronze medal at the Tokyo Games. And Germany had a really strong Olympic Games after, well, no medals in Rio, a couple of 4th places in Rio, but they come bouncing back and took 4 medals from 4 events in the Tokyo Games. So really strong, including that gold for Ricardo Funk, and then 3 bronze medals.
He's putting down a decent run. He's a bit all over the place towards the end, but
yeah, look, a lot of ducking and diving at the end. That's maybe costing him a bit on the clock, but it's going to be a quick time, 85.68, and good enough for second place. And well, I think we know he's happy, and that's important. So Tim Maxeiner goes into second place for Germany, as we are now getting towards, well, we are at the halfway point of this men's kayak semi-final, so he still has a little bit of time to wait to see if that is enough to go through into the final.
Where's he gone now?
Oh, yes.
Oh, he's been given a 50. I think it was on the down after the bridge, upright, down left.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. I wonder, there'll definitely be a protest for that. I wonder if his boat was maybe judged to not be in the gate.
So each of the gates is judged by at least one judge. It's normally 2 judges on the bank, but also there's a video review system. So the opportunity, assuming he hasn't used up his
protest
allowance, then he can have a review of that video to determine that. Basically, every competitor is allowed one review, one formal review post run.
Okay.
During the competition.
Per athlete, not per nation anymore, is it?
I believe so.
Okay.
But in the finals, the review is done during the final, and there is no protest afterwards. So Michal Smolan of the United States of America on course. Now, here's an athlete who is lying 3rd in the overall World Cup standings. He's had a good start to the season.
Yeah. It's great to see Michal as well back on it. I mean, he's a bronze medalist in 2015 World Championships, and then he kind of just really struggled to get back into it. I think he medaled at the World Cup in 2016, but that was it. And it's so good to see him this year really get back into it. Great performance at the games, put down a great run, just fell apart at the end.
Well, great stuff as well, because he has gone into 5th place. That's deceptively lost a bit of time at the bottom of the course for Michal Smolan. 5th and 7th in the first 2 World Cup races of the year to lie in 3rd place in the overall standings, but 5th at the moment.
Oh, he's been given another touch as well. Pushed him down in the ranks.
A touch on the upstream gate 2, the downstream gate 6. So another quick time, 84.97 is raw time. And, well, the penalties may well be what makes the difference there. Next to start for Great Britain, it's the Flying Scotsman Bradley Forbes-Cryans, 6th at the Tokyo Olympic Games. Himself a medalist at the Under-23 World Championships a couple of years ago. Already ducking and diving at the top of the course. So the opportunity to beat 85.11 is the current race lead time. He's 0.41 down on Boris Neveu, the race leader, on the top part of the course. And now coming into the middle section, this is where we have seen people find time, but mainly lose time.
Yeah, I feel like the top of the course is still quite tricky. You can lose a lot of time, but the bottom of the course is, your arms are burning, and there's that last tricky move as well. I feel the bottom of the course isn't as tricky, but there's a lot of time to lose if you're not running the boat properly. Especially in this 19 to 20 section, I think there's a good second to lose compared to someone who runs the boat.
So Bradley Forbes-Cryans has lost a little bit of time in the middle section. It's more a reflection probably of how good Boris Neveu was in that middle section. But it's a clean run. Oh, he has picked up a 2-second penalty on the downstream gate 23. So Bradley Forbes-Cryans goes into 8th place, 89.34. That includes a 2-second penalty on that downstream gate 23. And, well, you can see the disappointment on his face. And unlikely to be enough to make it through into this afternoon's final.
He's been given a 50 on gate 23 now, so he's definitely not going to be making it into the finals with that.
Good spot. So, well, his focus will turn to the extreme slalom, the time trials this afternoon, the head-to-head racing tomorrow. You can follow the head-to-head racing live on Planet Canoe, and then obviously over the mountains to the Pyrenees, the French side. But I do believe Bradley's not racing next weekend in Pau.
Okay, yeah.
So next on course, it is Jakub Krejci of the Czech Republic. And, well, he's a under-23 world champion in 2021. So he has absolutely had a good season so far, the up-and-coming paddler. And, you know, anyone from the Czech Republic who can kind of get in their senior team is going to be competitive.
Oh, absolutely. And I believe he medaled at under 23 Euros as well recently, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I mean, the Czech came-on paddler's eyes just missed.
Well, he's cutting the lines,
15,
as we've seen from a few people. And, well, that is, canoe slalom is all about risk and reward, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you don't take the risks, you won't get the reward.
Yeah, on that exit, if your edge catches, it's really hard to keep the front of the boat out of the water and push away into that down left.
And you've got to be prepared to, effectively, if you want to go for the podium, or in this case, go for the final, you've got to be prepared to come last, haven't you? You've got to take those risks.
No, absolutely. I mean, if you want to make the finals, you have to take some risk, and
well,
there's no point in racing to be 15th or 16th.
So into 21st place for the young athlete from the Czech Republic. And, well, it's interesting. Yuri Preskovic, the Olympic champion in the men's kayak category, not here in Laseu. He's choosing to take a bit of time out, but that gives the opportunity for young athletes like Jakob to get experience and be the next generation of athletes coming through. So next to start, it is Felix Oschmautz. Now, Felix had a great Olympic Games, finishing 4th in that final.
Bit of a heartbreaker in the final for them. He was so fast, and just had to paddle back up for a gate and still ended up 4th. That in itself is just insane. In the K1 men to miss the gate, paddle back up, get the gate, and finish up 4th is, and very close to 3rd as well. So I'd say he was heartbroken with that, but it shows how good of a paddler he is, and he's still super young as well. I think Felix is 23 or 24, so we'll definitely be seeing him during the next Worlds and on podiums very soon.
Well, it's been a year of 4th. He finished 4th in Prague at the World Cup, and
3rd in.
Sorry, no, 3rd. It was. He's not. Sorry, this season I'm looking at the wrong bit. 24th at Prague.
And 3rd in Markleberg.
And he's certainly been a form boat this season.
He's on form now. He's half a second up. Nicely through the last move.
And he's still up on the split, on that second split. That's where so many people have lost time against Neveu of France. So will he manage to do it? Surely this is going to take the race lead by quite a margin, 82.80. And Felix Oschmautz of Austria surely is in the final.
Brilliant. Good work.
So, well, it's clean runs across the board in the top 5 positions. Other than that, really fast run from Srabotnik of Slovenia. So 82 seconds is the lead time to beat. And Oschmautz of Austria builds from 4th place at the Olympic Games and surely has a place in the final. Well, next up for Great Britain, it's the Olympic champion from Rio 2016, Joseph Clark. So, wasn't in Tokyo. And, well, in fact, he got married about a week ago. So, I don't know whether that will have affected him or not, whether he's been able to fully train.
You'd hope it affected him a little bit, like...
You'd hope he took at least a day off his training schedule.
He only got here on Wednesday, I think, so not too much racing for him. But I think he's done this before, like where he's shown up to a race quite late and still performs. So I'm not too worried for him. He's struggling on the top there, though.
Well, he has a 2-second penalty from gate 6. So in terms of time, he is matched on a kind of 82 pace with Oschmautz, our race leader for Austria. But yes, that penalty he can't afford anymore. Joe Clark now coming towards the downstream gate 15 and 16. So 4.2 down now on that second split. So in that middle section, that's where Felix Oschmautz of Austria found some time. And the Olympic champion from Rio 2016, Joe Clark, very smooth through the bottom section. But is it too little too late? But don't forget, it is compared to that 82-second margin. So he's going to still be in the mix for a place in the final, but into 7th place. And, well, he's left it up to others to determine whether he has a place in the final. Joe Clark finishes 87.38, and that 2-second penalty really significant there.
Yeah, too much work to do towards the bottom of the course, and even for a guy like Joe, that was just too much to overcome.
So 15 boats to go in this men's kayak semi-final. And it won't be long before we start confirming who is through into the final. And well, the temperature warming up here in the September sunshine here in La Seu in the Spanish Pyrenees, in the shadow of the Cadi Mountains, the great dominant block of rock overlooking this great venue. And on course now, it is Mario Leitner, another quick Austrian paddler. But already another paddler picking up a penalty on the top section. In many ways, there's been more penalties on the top section on what would be classed as the easy section.
I don't know if it's the easy section. I think the top is really tricky, and I think the bottom is just where you can lose a lot of time from not running the boat. And the bottom it's really that down right to down left in the drop that has been causing trouble. A lot of people getting caught out as well, starting to nail an upstream and then hitting their tail off the rock, off the side of the course, which would make them pick up a penalty. Yeah, a lot of touches in the semi-final so far.
So no additional touches for Mario Leitner of Austria as he comes down the bottom of the course, but 5.22, so that puts him down around the 87-second mark, and well, outside of the kind of top 10 position. So Leitner of Austria running out of time to find time. Through, crosses the line, and it's going to be outside of the top 10. 91.1. He has another 2 penalties. Well, it's a review on gate 9, another penalty on gate 20. And Mario Leitner of Austria only goes into 15th place. So still, Felix Oschmaut's leading for Austria ahead of Boris Neveu of France and Martin Srabotnik of Slovenia.
Jakub Grigor in the starting blocks. Fairly relaxed as always. Freshly back from a silver medal at the Olympics, which is great to see. He really has been one of those K1 paddlers who's been so good from a young age, and I think everybody was expecting him to get a World Championship title or an Olympic medal, and he's finally done it, so it's good to see.
Yes, it was quite an interesting one because, I mean, in some ways, he went to Rio, didn't he, for his first games, and he'd had a really good season running into Rio, but yeah, he was still young, and even it was quite a big deal.
Even his final in Rio was so close. I mean, he was less than a second from a medal, and
I think he was 5th in Rio, and then second in Tokyo, and he's had a really good season. He's leading the World Cup standings after the first 2 races. His performances so far, 6th in the first race of the season in Prague, and then he won the race before the Olympics, the Markleberg World Cup.
He's putting down a fast run. Without that touch, he'd be up on the split. So need to absorb that time towards the bottom. Felix was really good all the way down, so it'd be hard to catch up. But I think if he stays 2.5 seconds, it's going to be tricky. He's going to need to pick up some time here if he wants to make it into the finals. Yeah,
don't forget though, that's on that 82-second time. But you're right, it is. He's left the door open there.
Another touch as well.
I don't envy his task as well in the Olympics, where he's got a weight of a nation, Slovakia. Slovakia hadn't won any medals up to that point. It's the last opportunity, and he delivered under that pressure. So
first K1 men medal as well at the Olympics, if I'm not wrong, which is crazy when you think about it. Slovakia is such a strong nation in slalom.
So only 10th place for Jakub Grigor of Slovakia, the Olympic silver medalist from Tokyo. And I don't think we'll be seeing Jakub, unfortunately, in the final today here in La Seu.
Andrei Tunka, former world champion in 2017 in Po. Struggled to make the Czech team in recent years just because, I mean, the Czech team is ridiculous. You've got Jiří Priskevec, Bit Prindis, Vavra, Andrei, who's a world champion. To think that a world champion wouldn't be able to make team all those years is crazy. Just shows how strong their team is.
Yeah, well, this is an opportunity. The opportunity doesn't come around very often, does it? But when you know someone of the caliber of Andrei Tunka is on course, you know that he will seize the opportunity with every stroke, really.
Yeah, I mean, when you've been a world champion, you've got the speed. It's just about delivering on the day, and it's good to see him here racing.
Well, I remember that World Championships as well, because I think the World Championships, it was like separated by hundredths of a second, that gold medal in Po.
Yeah, it was incredibly tight. I mean, even Andrei, I think, qualified last into the semi-final. So he was 40th going into the semi-final, and makes it into the finals and then wins it. So it just shows you how tight slalom is and K1 men is.
So he was really quick on the top section, just 0.37 down, but he has picked up a 2-second penalty on the downstream gate 13. So another of the top athletes just going onto the back foot and leaving the door open for those still to come. At the moment, certainly Felix Oschmalz of Austria looking very much, well, I think he can get changed, can't he? He can confidently get ready for the final.
For sure,
82.8, he's got a current lead of 2.3 seconds over Maurice Neveu of France.
He's already got food and he's already having a nap now. We're getting ready for his final, for sure.
Andre Tunka, though, for the Czech Republic, unfortunately the world champion of 2017 will not be in the final and finishes in 16th place so far. And outside of that top 10 place. Remember, 40 boats racing in this semi-final for just 10 places in the final. Well, here's a name to watch.
Absolutely. Giovanni, I think, is the on-form paddler of the season. He didn't have a great Olympic Games, unfortunately, but he's such a good paddler. Great first couple World Cups.
Well, yes, he's lying second in the standings at the moment, in the World Cup standings, just 3 points behind Jakob Grieger, and that was with a second place and a fourth place. So very consistent, as you say, and it was disappointing that he didn't make it through into the Olympic final, because I think he was definitely someone you wanted in that final to, you knew he would bring a fight.
I think a lot of people had their money on him. Oh, he's super fast in the first bit there. Second and a half off of Felix, who was having a great run as well. So just shows the speed he's got.
So Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy, can he continue this form? A good result here will almost certainly put him into the lead in the overall World Cup standings going into that World Cup final next weekend. In and out to the upstream gate 17, particularly as we're unlikely to see Jakob Grieger in the final. That leaves the door open, so De Gennaro still holds on to that advantage in the middle section.
Lost some time on Felix there, but he's still on top and still in front.
So De Gennaro of Italy,
last move.
He's done the job. He's just got to keep it clean and paddle through for a place in the final, surely, for Italy.
Felix was so fast on the bottom there.
Into second place for Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy, and surely that's enough. 84.73, and you got the impression there was still a bit of time at the bottom there.
Yeah, no, for sure, and it just shows how fast Felix was on the bottom of the run as well, because Giovanni was having a great run there, and still Felix times held. So.
Well, 11 to go, so we'll soon be able to confirm who is going to make it into the final. And well, we were talking about De Gennaro not making the Olympic final, and here's another person that was, I think the whole world wanted him in the final to see him. It's the legend Peter Kauser of Slovenia, two-time world champion, multiple European champion, Olympic silver medalist. I think when he won that Olympic medal in Rio in 2016, then I think everybody was kind of thinking, well, he deserved that. He went into Beijing as the favourite, had a disastrous games in Beijing, and has been so consistent through his career and still produces strong performances. Can he do it again today?
He's what, 38 and still paddling like he's 20.
Exactly, and look at that. He is up on our split, up on Felix Oschmalz of Austria, the race leader. Super and it'd be great to see Peter Kauser in this final here. Well, he's lying 5th place in the overall standings so far this season for the World Cup. 2 finals so far. Prague, he was 9th. Markleberg, he was 8th. So the next job is to get into the final, get into the top 10.
Silky smooth there. He just glides the boat like no one else. It's effortless.
And he's still got the advantage. It's been trimmed, but that middle section has caused problems for lots of people, but not Peter Kauser of Slovenia.
Interesting line there into 23, but it worked pretty well for him.
So a little bit lower than he might have wanted on 24, but that's getting a bit nitpicky there as he crosses the line into second place, Peter Kauser, and surely into the final.
Yeah, job done for Peter there.
Well, that's more like Peter Kauser that we would expect. And of course, he'll be going to Bratislava to the World Championships in 3 weeks' time, where he won his first world title.
Yeah.
No, it might have been his second world title. I think he won 2010 and 2011.
29 was his first World Championship title, I think.
You're right,
Seo.
because he didn't win 2010, which was his home course in Tarsen.
Yeah, Seo. He's a world champion in Seo for the first time, I think.
So, well, it's useful having you alongside me, Liam, to correct me there, because you're right, 2010 was on his home course.
Yeah,
and
Momenti,
he was the favourite, but yeah, Momenti took the title that year. So, we're into the final 10 boats, and on course for Germany, it is Noah Hegger, who has had, well, a 26th place in the first World Cup of the season, Prague. So already into this semi-final, but now is he going for selection as well?
I think so. I don't know if it's the same for the K1 men. I know the K1 women are fighting for a spot on the senior team for Brats for the World Championships. Well, I'd say so, yeah. Now, the fact that Tim has 50'd in the semi-final run, it really leaves the door open for Noah here. If I'm guessing, I'd say Hannes is pre-selected for Worlds, and it's 2 extra spots here.
I think that would be my estimation there. So, well, he's got the advantage, 0.95, but has that just gone? Has he just picked up the penalty? He has on the downstream gate 19. So, a deceptively fast run for Hegger, but here, a plan B, but it's a tidy plan B.
Yeah, tidy plan B. I don't think he's lost too much time doing it.
So Hegger of Germany now crossing the line, 86.41 into 6th place. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But confirmed a 2-second penalty on the downstream gate 19. So that does mean that Felix Oschmalz of Austria, our current race leader, is in the final. So Felix, if you haven't already done so, then you can go and get ready. But I suspect after that 82.8, he's probably long gone to go and get changed.
I'd say his coach sent him to do a recovery right after his run.
Yes. So on course now, another young Spanish paddler, Paul Ecaniz, who, well, he's got a record at the under-23 level, 4th at the under-23 Europeans just a few weeks ago, qualified in 9th place through the heats yesterday, and you can expect that local knowledge and that fearless attacking style that you get here will give him the opportunity to go for the final.
I believe his Instagram bio is full send, so that tells you everything you need to know, especially in Seo. I mean, look at it, he's already up on the split. He's really going for it, attacking. And
so half a second up on the top. But now this is the section, the middle section. This is where many people's runs have just come a little bit untucked as such. It hasn't gone wrong, but the time just suddenly starts to tick away. We saw that with the Olympic champion from Rio, Joe Clark. He lost a bit of time in that middle section, never made it back up.
I think the difficulty is when you nail the top half of the course, you just need to stay in that mindset and keep on pushing and attacking the rest of the course. You can't fall into that safe kind of finish off mindset.
Oh, so he got a little bit of a kick between 22 and 23, didn't he? And was a little bit too tight on the right-hand pole of the downstream 23. It's a good run, but he's left himself. Well, 3rd place, so that is a stunning time. That's actually the fastest time, isn't it? 82.72.
That could be enough for, I'd say, I'm going to stick my neck out and say that's going to be enough. If the review says he's only got 1 touch, I'd say that'll be enough to qualify for the final, which is great. First final for Pau. A young guy from Seo, always great to see.
I would agree entirely that I think that is going to be enough. So it's great to see. Hopefully Spain have got a representative, at least one, because they've still got 2 to go in this semi-final.
With the touch as well, that's impressive.
But it is. Well, Felix Oschmalz and Peter Kauser, who are our first qualifiers. Well done to them. You can get changed, get ready for the final, and you can follow that final. It's about 12:30 Central European time here live, but don't forget, join us at 12 o'clock because the women's kayak final is up first. So next, Lucien Delfour of Australia, fresh from the Olympic Games where he finished 8th. And again, Lucien's always a super exciting paddler to watch and a real risk taker.
Oh, absolutely, and he's got that style that suits for Seo as well. Small, powerful strokes. Look at that, up on the split here. He's medalled multiple times in Seo as well. I think it's one of those courses where he tends to do really well.
Yeah, he was 8th at the World Championships here just 2 years ago. So
Short exit out of the up.
whoa, and he doesn't get his bow. Well, it looks like he's picked up a 2-second penalty. It's the bows that he left it late.
I think there's a lot of time to be won there if you take that short exit, but there's a big risk in catching that edge too soon and going right of that gate.
So 3.5 seconds now. He comes out of the middle section with a deficit. It doesn't mean he's not in contention for the final still, but it does mean that it's towards the back end of the final, and it may well need a little bit of a stressful wait over the coming minutes as he comes and stops the clock. 88.36, but it's outside the top 10 into 12th place. And Lucien Delfour of Australia, well, you wouldn't have expected that. You'd have expected him to be inside the top 10.
No, yeah. It's difficult for a couple of the guys coming back from the Olympics as well to get back into the swing of things, but Lucien was in PO training the past couple of weeks, so yeah, it just didn't work out today, but I'm sure he'll get a chance to get that one back next week in PO.
Indeed. Well, we have our next competitor on course. It is Matteo Biazizzo of France now on course. So he was 3rd in Prague, but then 24th in Markkleeberg.
So good to see Mathieu back on the podium after so long. Really was one of those guys who was so good for a couple of years up until 2015, and then kind of had a couple of years, couple difficult years. So it's great to see him back on the team and medaling in Prague, and hopefully getting a spot in the final today.
How
He's
important?
up on the split.
Oh, he is up on the split. How important is it to have real confidence in your paddling? Because, you know, for example, like your World Cup win last year, how much does that help you going into these competitions?
Yeah, I mean, it's the mental aspect of the sport is huge. If you need to believe in yourself, and it's good to sometimes have that concrete proof, or that result that says, okay, well, if I've done it once, I can do it again. And I think maybe that's what happened with Mathieu. He kind of had a couple bad races and lost confidence in what he was doing, and it's good to see him back. Well, he's back on it, and it's a little bit down on the split there, but he's picked up a touch. Was the touch before the split?
It was, so he's actually still in good contention because his job is to finish in the top 5. He's got to be 85.11 for an automatic place, and he's going to be well inside
yes, that. Excellent.
And well he is into 3rd place for Matteo Biazizzo of France and into the final. Well done, Mathieu. So it is still, well, at the moment we have Felix Oschmalz qualifying for Austria ahead of Peter Kauser of Slovenia, Matteo Biazizzo of France, that's the top 3, Paul Ecaniz of Spain. 4 qualifiers, 6 boats still to go.
4 very cool paddlers to watch in the finals later on. And
we have Giovanni De Gennaro sitting next on the bubble.
Next up is Finn from New Zealand. Had a great ICF race in Prague this summer, took the win.
Well, as I speak, Matteo Biazizzo has been given one extra penalty, and it's moved him down to 10th place.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty significant. So that's bad news for France, but good news for Italy. Giovanni De Gennaro is in the final as we now focus on Finn Butcher of New Zealand on course.
Yeah, Finn trains a lot in Prague over the summer, and I feel like he's kind of got that Czech mentality when he paddles. Just goes for it, and really cool to watch. He's got great speed. Look at that again up on the split. He showed it this summer at the ICF race in Prague. Any race you win in Prague shows that you're good, that you can go fast. So
no, it's good. Well, it's great to see him. And 6th place yesterday in the heats was really showing his potential. I mean, he was 4th in the under-23 Worlds, I think, in 2018.
Yeah, I agree.
And perhaps not got the consistency yet, but you don't necessarily expect that for people young in their career. But when he puts it together, which he is doing now, then he is really on it. 0.48 down on the halfway split, the 2nd split. That's a really good position to be in.
Yeah, that's on Felix time. So Felix was really good on the bottom here, so I wouldn't be surprised if he dropped another half a second, but still good. Nicely done.
Yeah, he's tidy. He's just got to deliver gate 24. And as I speak, the bows of the boat jump up, and that 2-second penalty may well prove the difference. He qualifies into 11th place.
Yeah.
And 87.03, such are the margins that actually that would have 85.03 would have put him into the final.
Yeah, that last upstream is so tempting to just fire go up to the wall and push, but it's really hard to control the bow, and it's just that classic touch on the outside pole got him there, and it's got a few people today already.
Well, Finn Butcher, New Zealand, it isn't going to be a place in the final, but again, showing his form across 2 runs there. The heats, he was outstanding, and again in the semi-finals, but to that one touch, and such are the tight margins that we have in this sport. So the final German boat in this semi-final, Stefan Hengst, now on course. Again, the German team pretty strong, and some of these athletes that we're seeing racing here are effectively the B team. Well, having to re-qualify their place, which has been quite a German thing for a number of years, hasn't it? Where they kind of have they have a selection series for the World Cup, and then they go again for the World Championships, unless, of course, you deliver certain performances over the season.
I mean, a lot of the teams decide to really focus on European Championships and on the World Championships, and obviously the games when it's an Olympic year. And they use these World Cups to kind of decide who's on form and who's got the best shot at medaling at Worlds, and that's what the Germans are doing here.
So Stefan Hengst of Germany, well, he's clean still, 2 seconds down, but he does look very straight-lined it through that slacker water as you then approach the business end of the course. 22-23, that's nicely done. He's going to be tight into 24, and there he keeps his bows above the pole, and that really reduces the risk. So Hengst of Germany, has he found a little bit more time? I think this is good enough for a place in the final, but it's just outside. Into 11th place, 86.76, and well, it is really tight. The top 10 at the moment separated by 3.7 seconds. So, well, bad news for Germany, but good news for Slovenia's Martin Srebotnik, who gets into the final with 4 seconds of penalties.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive. Such a fast time.
So Felix Osmat still leading for Austria. Peter Kauser, Slovenia. Paul Ekaniz of Spain in 3rd, Giovanni De Gennaro in 4th, Boris Neveu in 5th for France, and Martin Srebotnik for Slovenia in 6th. They are all in, and we have 4 boats still to go in this men's kayak semi-final. And of course, Nico Testen of Slovenia.
And Noah's on the bubble there to get into the final as well. It's good to see some new faces in the finals, younger guys.
Well, I think we will see some in some ways, because we've got the likes of Nico Testen, and if Nico doesn't do it, then, as you say, Noah's in.
Yeah.
So that's good. Nico is an accomplished paddler, not just in the kayak category, but also in the canoe category. Canoes will be in action tomorrow. So the semi-finals of the women's canoe and the men's canoe, they get underway 9 o'clock Central European time tomorrow morning. So you can follow that live. Nico, 0.81 up on the early split. Looks like he's holding on to that.
Excellent.
Whips it round on 17.
Effortless.
He's almost smiling as he comes out of 17, and you can see why. And he's extended now. There's not many people who've extended the advantage as they come into the second split.
A little bit of over-rotation there in the offsets, but won't pay for it too much.
This is a superb run coming together for Nico Testen. Maybe a fraction low in 24 to what he wanted, but it's a clean run. It's surely going to be into the final and into second place. And well done, Nico. We'll see you later on in the final. So Noah Heger of Germany has to wait to see whether he's done enough. And we still have the 3 fastest boats from the heats to go. Includes the like of Vit Prindis, the European champion from earlier on in the season, and a World Cup winner on a number of occasions. And then the 2 local paddlers, both World Championship medalists from 2019.
Yeah.
Well, here he is, Vit Prindis of the Czech Republic, World Cup Series winner in 2017. He's won multiple World Cups, he's won a World Championship medal. He is the reigning European champion. And again, we've talked about different styles. He always looks really effortless.
Yeah, Vit's just master at gliding his boat. As Louis Hannon once said, the man could paddle a bathtub, it wouldn't matter. He's just really, really good. I mean, knows how to use the water perfectly.
So 2 finals from the 2 World Cup races so far this season. A 7th place in the Czech Republic, which is unusual, actually, on his home water, to be that low for him. A 6th place in Markleberg, and he sits 4th in the overall standings coming into this race. So can he make it 3 from 3? Well, he has got to go inside the time of 86.41 for an automatic place in the final. Very experienced paddler as well. He knows what he's going to do. He won't take too many risks on this semi-final. We might see a little bit more in the final.
Yeah, but I think the course design kind of forces you to have that risk-taking attitude. You can't really play it safe on a course like this. Like this bottom move is, you have to attack it. Like there's no going around it. But Vit's got plenty of experience to manage a course design like this.
This is a place in the final for Vit Prindis. It's a clean run, and it isn't going to go into the lead, but it is absolutely what's required. Into 6th place, and well done, Vit. We will see you in the final. 3 finals from 3 races in this 2021 ICF World Cup Series. And, well, 2 boats to go. And this is where the Spanish will be getting excited.
Yeah, really looking forward to watching Iman and David throw down some runs here in Seo. They're always really impressive here. Let's see what they can do.
So 2 boats to go. It is effectively Noah Heger of Germany and Michał Pasiut of Poland sitting in currently 9th and 10th to see whether they will get a place in the final. But on course, Juan Crespo, World Championship bronze medalist, and
a little sloppy in the first upstream.
Yeah, it almost looked like he's forcing it a bit.
Forced it a little bit.
So we'll have to wait and see whether that shows on the clock or whether he's his local knowledge is going to just overcome that as he comes towards the split. Juan Crespo still finds some time on the top despite that little bit of an untidy upstream gate 2.
You can see all the local boys are cutting under the green going into the out left as well. It just shows how well they know. Exactly same here as well. You cut underneath the green.
Yeah, it just keeps the boat a bit drier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it gives you a little bit of an earlier sight of the line running into that upstream gate 14. Or certainly leaving no margin on 17 there.
No.
But has he kept the advantage? He has. 0.16. He is still up.
Slowed down a little bit there. He got caught.
The time to beat 86.41 is the time for an automatic place in the final.
Nice.
And super composed.
Sketchy, but he got it done.
There is a review on 17. He did very much. He was very tight in and out on that. So this will be a provisional result, and provisionally into the final. 5th place, well done. Juan Crespo of Spain. His relief on that. And it does look like that is it is still have an asterisk on it. So it is still a provisional result. But it is Juan Crespo of Spain. 85.00, a clean run, assuming the judges assessed that he satisfactorily did gate 17.
2 Spanish in the final so far. Hopefully David can get a spot into the finals as well. Took some time off after the Olympics, so it was good to see him so good in heats yesterday. See what he can do.
So, David Llorente, the last of our athletes in this men's kayak semi-final for Spain. He was 10th in Tokyo. He was a silver medalist at the World Championships here in 2019.
Look at that, perfect.
And he was the under-23 European champion in 2018. He's certainly using the wall on the exit of the upstream gate 7.
Not overcomplicating anything. He's just keeping the boat facing downwards and pulling as hard as he can. And
good news for our Spanish fans, because the asterisk has gone off Juan Crespo, so he is confirmed in 5th place and in the final. David always looks pretty composed, doesn't he? Very smooth paddler. And now coming in to this upstream gate 17, not cutting it quite as tight as his compatriot Crespo. Let's see. Well, he's down on the split, 2.05, but well inside what's required for a place in the final.
Safe there towards the end of the run, I think. He needs to pick it up if he wants to get a spot in the finals.
So the time to beat, 86.41 for David Llorente of Spain.
Slow in the last upstream. That's going to be close.
It is going to be very close indeed, and it might even be outside. This is a big shock for the fastest qualifier, because David Llorente of Spain only manages 18th place, and it is that touch he picks up on the downstream gate 23 that costs him dearly.
He was looking good at the top of the course, and I think it kind of started to just play it safe and try and finish off his run, and
here it is.
That touch crucified him.
Here it is. That makes a massive difference. So provisionally, it is Felix Oschmaus takes the win here in the semi-final. He will go off last in this afternoon's final. Now, he will be joined by Peter Kauser of Slovenia, Pau Ekanez of Spain, Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy, Juan Crespo of Spain, Boris Nouveau of France, Vit Prindis of the Czech Republic, Nico Testen of Slovenia, Martin Srabotnik of Slovenia. And then our final qualifier will go off first in the final, Noah Hegger of Germany.
A couple of first-time finals there in the mix, which is great. Noah's first final, I think, Pau as well. Great to see.
So here's the results. These top 10 athletes will race in reverse order in this afternoon's final. You can follow that. That follows on from the women's kayak final. So 12 o'clock Central European time. Here you can follow that live. That will be the women's kayak final, and at about 12:30 the men's kayak final. But some big names miss out. The World Cup Series leader, Jakob Grieger, who was leading at the moment, and the silver medalist from Tokyo, he misses out indeed. And, well, a few other big names. David Lorente, we've just seen, the Spanish favourite and Olympic finalist, also misses out. So it's been great having you, Liam, alongside me, giving that insight as we've gone through this race. Thank you for joining me in the commentary box. And, of course, we look forward to seeing you racing in the semi-finals and hopefully the finals tomorrow. So
thanks very much.
Best of luck to you, Liam.
Great morning of racing here in Seo. Right, bye.
So that concludes the action here in the semi-finals. But we will be back at 12 o'clock Central European time with the finals of the men's kayak and the women's kayak. Women's kayak up first, top 10 from this morning, and then the men's kayak finals here in the sunshine in the Spanish Pyrenees. Join us again at 12 o'clock Central European time.